All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hopefully everything is coming through clearly. We are streaming once again at 4K today. So please, if you are able to, enjoy the crispness, as Mark Cerny would put it. Enjoy the crispness of the stream. But yeah, everything looks good on my end. So should be coming through clear. Hope everybody's doing well today. See everybody saying hello in the chat. What's going on, guys? We got Mepsic, a long-time member for 45 months. Thank you for that, Mepsic. He says, The Last of Us Part 3, best not be clickbait. Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by clickbait, right? I'm not here to tell you The Last of Us Part 3 is real. I'm just here to report on a rumor and also just discuss what The Last of Us Part 3 could be. Do we want a Last of Us Part 3? Would people prefer a Last of Us Part 3 after Intergalactic? We're going to have that discussion. Whiskey Gaming, you like your MBGs crisp. Well, there you go, bro. There you go. I'm glad, Whiskey Gaming. I'm glad. Gaming Survivor says another perfect day of PlayStation winning. Clicker bait. Oh, I see what you did there. I had to reread what Mepsic said and make sure he didn't actually type it that way, and I misread it. Yeah, well, I'm not 100% Ray. I don't know how long this stream's going to be today because my throat is very sore for some reason. I don't feel like really sick per se. I just have a sore throat. So we'll see how it holds up. I feel okay right now. I got my coffee with me. But yeah, I do appreciate that, Ray. Yeah, I was going to stream yesterday, but I decided, you know what, it's going to be best not to because I just wasn't with it. You know what I mean? I wasn't all there. All right. Yeah. So we are talking about The Last of Us Part 3 today. I'm sure that'll be a very interesting discussion. We're going to be talking about Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, because Neil Druckmann gave us more information about this upcoming game. And based off of the information he gave us, I'm starting to wonder if previously, when we were talking about Intergalactic, we covered a 4chan leak. Okay, and this 4chan leak was the entire story and the entire plot of Intergalactic, apparently. And we read it and we're like, man, yeah, maybe. Like, it was super detailed. That's what was interesting about it. It was a very, very detailed leak. And, at the time, we're like, who knows? This could be completely made up, or this could be 100% true. This could be the entire game that we're reading right now. But what's interesting is that based off of the new details that Neil Druckmann gave us, which he didn't give us too many details, but he gave us a little bit more about Intergalactic, it's starting to seem like that leaked plot may actually be true. And that leak we went over may end up being true, which would be very interesting, mainly because the consensus when we went over that leak, when we were covering the leaked Intergalactic story, the general consensus was everybody was kind of like, meh, like it seems a bit too simplistic, like a bit too underwhelming in a way, which I wouldn't mind, honestly. I think that'd be fine. That would mean maybe the gameplay is going to be more of a, selling point for this game. But either way, we are going to cover that news and that info regarding Intergalactic. And we're also going to be talking about Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Yeah, I hear you, man. You're saying I get sick too often. I don't know that I'm sick. Like, I don't know. It could just be the fluctuation in the weather. I mean, one day it's like 65 degrees out, 70 degrees out, and then the next day it's like, oh, it's going to be like, 38 degrees. It's like, okay. It's kind of weird. Jason Schreier confirmed it was not true. Oh, yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. I mean, the timing of it was kind of strange. You know, it was like right after the reveal. Like it's a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee. Like, okay, here we go again. Here we go again. Armored Core PS1 coming March 18th to the PlayStation Store. Huh. I guess that was just announced. Do I take vitamins? Getting old now. I used to. I do have a multivitamin. I don't really take it that much though. Maybe I should take it more often. I don't know. It just feels like a scratchy throat, you know? That's all it is. It could just be like more than likely it's just like allergy related, you know? What's going on, Corey? Saying, Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. Think it'll lead to a possible Hexen sequel. Maybe a new Stragos sequel. Stop getting sick. I will stop. I'll stop, Corey, just for you. I'll make sure I don't get sick anymore. Well, we will see, man. I've been trying to take care of myself, you know. I won't lie, my diet needs cleaning up. So that's not helping, but I've been exercising a lot, you know. I've been going for walks and stuff, taking care of myself as best as I can. I don't eat enough vegetables though. I don't know, man. I don't like vegetables. BRB heart meds and vitamins time. Yeah. I don't know, I'm supposed to be entering the prime of my life, right? So, all right. Hot green tea and honey. I think I do have green tea actually. Not again, Gaming Survivor. It's best we don't go there again. Do you think Intergalactic and The Last of Us 3 are being made at the same time? Yes, I do. I think I completely overanalyzed the recent comments from Neil Druckmann. He said this might be it. This might be The Last of Us, I guess. He said don't bet on it. I do like fruit, Planet Slurpian, if I could say your name. You don't have to worry about that. I do like fruit, yeah. Intergalactic has been 4 years in the making. Well, the one thing I want to point out is that when Naughty Dog canceled the Last of Us multiplayer, they put out a statement, and they said in that statement that they're working on 2 single player games. We know what one of those single player games is now. We know it's Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, and everybody had assumed that the second single player game they're working on is The Last of Us Part 3. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I would be okay. Like, I would be perfectly okay if Naughty Dog never touches The Last of Us again. I think doing The Last of Us Part 3 might be pushing it a little bit. But, you know, we can't forget that Neil Druckmann did say at the end of the Grounded 2 documentary, he did say that he has a concept for a third game. He knows what he wants to do. And he thinks there's one more story to tell. I mean, I can't imagine there's a situation where it's like he knows what he wants to do for the third game, and Sony's like, nah. But we did entertain that notion. You know, we did entertain the notion of maybe Sony doesn't want The Last of Us Part 3, but the more I think about that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Of course Sony wants The Last of Us Part 3. Why wouldn't they want The Last of Us Part 3? Sony wants more Last of Us. So I'm thinking Neil's recent comments, maybe I overanalyze them as I tend to do. And we do have a rumor that seems to indicate that The Last of Us Part 3 is, in fact, the second single player game that is currently in development at Naughty Dog. Let's see here. We have a direct donation from Moonshot. Thank you for that, buddy. He says the FSR 4 and PSSR news is precisely why I honestly think this generation should go until 2030 when you have machine learning upscaling hardware in the console. Yeah, I've been seeing people talk about this. I've been seeing people talk about how they do think that maybe it would be best if the PlayStation 5 gen lasted until 2029, 2030, somewhere around there, rather than 2027, 2028. Well, Moonshot, you have another one here where you say that can be you're saying that can be significantly updated, bringing huge upgrades to the same console like the Pro, then I don't see the need of a whole new console. Hmm. Yeah, the PS5 Pro has been in the news quite a bit recently due to the announcement of FSR 4 and Mark Cerny doing an interview making it known that there's going to be a big update coming to PSSR. And I really do wonder, man, if Sony's going to end up maybe trying to push the next generation out further, because I kind of agree with what you're saying here. Jerry Gamer, a member for 12 months, says, "Will you be streaming the Silent Hill transmission on Thursday?" I'm gonna try. Yeah, I did see that they just casually announced that it's happening tomorrow. I think it's 6 p.m. for me, so I'll have to see. I think they're gonna show off Silent Hill F or whatever. Kind of forgot about that game, but yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten a Silent Hill transmission. So I'm gonna say right now, Jerry Gamer, probably. I probably will stream it unless something gets in the way. But Moonshot, yeah, I've been seeing some really strange conversations taking place about FSR 4, PSSR, the PS5 Pro, and it does seem to me that some people, not even some people, let me clear this. Let me make this clear. I mean, a significant portion of people have reached a point where they're like, I'm going to really need to be sold to move forward. Like, there's got to be something really meaningful to get me to move from the PS5 to the PS6. And you look at the conversations that are taking place even right now about the PS5 Pro, about PSSR, about AI upscaling, and seeing the differences with these upgrades, and how most people are just like, eh, like I'm struggling to see it. You do see, there are certainly people who do see the difference and want that upgrade, but it just does seem to me that we are kind of at this point where it's going to be more difficult than ever to convince people to move away from their PS5 or from their PS5 Pros. I think there will always be the enthusiast that no matter what, there's going to be new hardware, and they're going to be excited about that. And Moonshot with another one here says, if there is a significant update to the Pro in 2026, does that even make sense to release a next console in 2028? How big of a leap are we talking? Well, according to, Digital Foundry, at least from Richard Ledbetter, he believes that the PS6 architecture is probably going to be based on AMD's UDNA architecture, which they know nothing about right now. We know nothing about right now. It's top secret. That's like the next gen architecture. So when it comes to answering the question, like how big of a leap can we expect, that's unknown right now. Sony and AMD are currently working on it. So yeah, I think it's safe to say though that it's going to have to be it's going to have to be pretty significant to convince people, because I don't think Sony's going back to traditional exclusivity. So they're going to need to really show some new features and some graphical leaps forward, a graphical leap forward that is not going to leave people questioning, like, I don't see the difference. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a problem. And we have Lux here saying, I'm thinking maybe Kojima's pulling an MGS2 with Death Stranding 2 and you'll mostly be playing as Elle Fanning's character. What makes you think that, Lux? I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly, by the way. I keep calling you Lux. I don't know if it's Luke's. I'll just stick with Lux. Sounds fine. Well, hold on. Corey's saying, come on, lads, let's not rub it in too obviously. MBG may be starting to wrinkle, but come on. What are you guys talking about in the chat? How are you, MBG? You're not old. You look very young when you shave. Yeah, when I shave, people tell me I look like a kid. I'm telling you, though, right now, my hair is growing in and I haven't shaved my head in a little while. Dude, if I took my hat off, you guys would legitimately, I would look like I'm 55. I know you say you're kidding, but I'm not. Like, if I took my hat off, you'd be like, "Oh, oh, okay." Like, people would believe I'm lying about my age, and I couldn't blame them. I think I have, like, accelerated aging like Old Snake. Lux, you're saying he showed a lot of her character? Hmm. I did see a couple of posts pop up randomly, people talking about the idea of a Metal Gear Solid 2, like, twist coming in, like, you're gonna play as a different character. I'm more inclined to believe the twist will be something along the lines of you end up playing as the character that looks like Solid Snake. Like, I think that would be a more likely twist just because I don't know, man, Kojima, he's going hard with that character, bro. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Maybe playing as Fragile. Moonshot with another. Thank you for the direct donations, by the way, Moonshot. You're saying Lord knows cross gen for PS5 Pro and PS6. Excuse me, I almost said PS6. Will Lord knows what it'll be like the whole gen at this point. When the newest updates for PSSR can be implemented on the PS5 Pro. Well, here's what I think needs to be understood, Moonshot. At least this is how I understand it. This is how I interpret it. And maybe I'm wrong. And if there's anybody here that's more technically, more understanding of the technical side of things, please correct me. But my take on the whole PS5 Pro PSSR update in regards to FSR4 from AMD is that FSR4 is pretty taxing. It's pretty robust, and it's something that when Mark Cerny talks about the next version of PSSR, he's saying the next version of PSSR, which is supposed to come next year, should match FSR 4. But he doesn't say it's going to be exactly the same. He's saying it should be very close to it. And when you read the article and you listen to what Mark Cerny's saying, he does make it pretty clear that like this is going to be an ambitious thing to pull off. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that what we end up getting next year with this big PSSR update is likely going to be pushing the limit of what can be done with PSSR with the pro hardware. Does that make sense? Like, in other words, if they try to go any further with PSSR, it's just not going to be feasible with the hardware that's in the PS5 Pro, with the GPU, the CPU, and everything else. I know it's an AI upscaler, but it still does need a base. It does still need the base hardware to be able to pull certain things off. So, if I understand this correctly, that is, I could be wrong. It's a little bit confusing. There's a lot going on, but I do assume that it's going to be one of these things where it's like, listen, if we want to push PSSR any further, we are going to need to move on to the next generation of architecture. Because keep in mind, the PS5 Pro, one of the things that Sony flexed is, hey, it's got RDNA 4 features in it, right? It's got a custom version of what will end up, RDNA 4, but it's really like RDNA 3, 3.5 technically because it's custom. It seems like if Sony wants to push PSSR further than the next big update that comes next year, they're going to have to wait for the next generation of architecture to come from AMD and basically whatever it ends up being FSR 5, FSR 6, something along those lines. I don't think, yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is where I'm a little confused too. You're saying your understanding of how machine learning works is it can just keep getting updates, but I don't know. I guess you're right about that. Well, there has to be some kind of limit, right? Like if you're using the latest version of FSR on like well, see, I don't know. Because as far as I understand, FSR 4 is locked to the latest GPU. So I don't know. It gets a little bit confusing to me. I have to look into that. But it's a good question, Josh. I mean, it's something that people, I think they want an answer to. You know what I mean? Like they want to know, like, is it going to, the PS6, I think, is going to need to do a lot more than just focus on AI upscaling to sell people. That's what I think anyway. Lux, you're saying Kojima's throwing people off talking about the action. When does he ever be honest leading up to to most games, especially his sequels? That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about that. I don't know why. I'm just basically taking everything Kojima's saying and showing us at face value. It does feel a little bit different. It feels like he is kind of being more straightforward this time, but yeah, I mean, it is Kojima, and he always has some kind of twist. He always has something up his sleeve that he doesn't reveal. And yeah, he usually, well, not usually, he pretty much always does try to misdirect you. So based on that trailer, I do wonder where the misdirection. I still am leaning more towards the if there is a misdirection in Death Stranding 2, I think it's leaning more towards the whole section where he's showing the character that looks like Snake. This is clearly supposed to be the replacement of Mads Mikkelsen's character, Cliff, and he doesn't really explain. You know what I mean? He doesn't really. At least maybe I got to rewatch the trailer and listen in, but don't really know who this character is and what role they play exactly. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. Corey is starting off the day. He's doing the first lift of the day. Corey, thank you so much for that, man. Always appreciate the support. You came out absolutely swinging big time last stream. And so always appreciate that support, man. I just realized Boss isn't even in here. I don't know where he is. Oh, I know how to get Boss. Hold on. I wanted to show you guys this anyway. Thank you for that, Corey. Before I do though, we have Sean Mitchell. He says, I think Neil, Snake lookalike, is going to have more of a tie in with is that his name? Neil? That's funny. I think Neil, the Snake lookalike, is going to have more of a tie-in with Mad's character from DS1. They almost have the same abilities. He's trafficking BBs too, ain't he? Oh yeah, you know what? Thinking back to the beginning of the stream, or not the stream, when we were seeing the trailer. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch it. And I think I'm just like I'm so in awe at like what I'm seeing. I'm barely even paying attention to the dialogue and what's going on. Yeah, I mean, he does have pretty much the same abilities as Cliff, which is really interesting. And so I don't know, man. I do think there's going to be some surprises. Whether or not there's going to be some kind of like MGS2 level plot twist, though. I mean, like not even a plot twist, but a kind of switcheroo where it's like, oh, you're actually playing as this character. I think you're more likely to play as. I was gonna say Higgs, but yeah, I don't know, man. I could see that being a possibility. I mean, I do think at some point in this game you're gonna end up playing as a different character. Which one though? I mean, what was the name of that one? The Red Samurai. Is that what it was? It's basically like BB or something in a freaking samurai suit, like a giant cyborg samurai suit. I can see you playing as that character at some point in the game. Come on, bro. Boss's new favorite toy is shoestring. He's going, dude. I'm gonna get him in shape with this thing. I'm gonna get Boss back in the peak physical condition. Gonna start burning off some of those treats, man. You're gonna play as Doctor. Dude, I'm telling you, I've been really mitigating the amount of time I've been spending on Twitter. Like, really, I haven't been going on nearly as much. Are you good, bro? Are you just taking it? Okay. He's just like, this is mine now, and he leaves. That's cool. Yeah, MRPD, people were asking if I'm going to stream that Silent Hill event. I'm going to try to. Yeah. I've been mitigating my time. I just want to say, I'm already seeing people fighting over Kojima going woke or whatever. but more specifically, that one character that was shown that's played by Deborah Wilson. Is that the name of the character? The doctor or whatever? And it really has it's become a brain dead wasteland, dude. I mean, absolutely brain dead, where it's like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing? Bro, hold on. God damn it. You got me good, boss. You got me good. Bad cat. Yo, hey, whoa. Okay, you're getting crazy, boy. You're getting crazy. You better chill. He's getting nuts. John B, the answer is yes. Unfortunately, the answer is yes. Like it's not surprising, but it's incredibly unfortunate. Lux, you're saying Death Stranding 2 is going to look nuts on PC with widescreen. I do wonder if widescreen is going to be available on the console this time, because that was actually one of the selling points with Death Stranding Director's Cut. But yeah, man, whenever this game does launch on PC, it's probably going to be one of the best looking games ever. I mean, I was looking at some of the 4K screenshots, and dude, I'm not kidding. Like, I think Death Stranding 2 might be the best looking game ever made. I don't say that lightly. I mean, I was looking at some of the environments and the texture work, and it's just like, holy shit, dude, this looks nuts. So what about Die Hardman then? Deborah Wilson was badass in the Star Wars games. You know what's so funny about Deborah Wilson is I remember her from Mad TV. And that's so interesting that she's basically made like a full-blown career as a actress and voice actor in gaming. But I remember her many years ago from Mad TV, and she was funny. My studio crashed again. Why does it always do that? That is so annoying. It did look next gen. I mean, yeah, it does. It does look next gen. I guess it depends on what we consider next gen, but if like for me it's a game that looks so over the top good, not just like, of course, with just overall graphical fidelity, but just every aspect of it looks like it's truly raising the bar in terms of what it's showing you, what it's presenting. And yeah, man, it's not that shocking. Like I said previously, Kojima and his teams have always been known with every release to kind of push, at least try to push the limit, right? And raise the bar on like how good games can look. Yeah, yeah, that's what I saw. Tarnished. That's what I saw, and I was like, this is just crazy, man. Like that's the same person that wants me to believe that I should be concerned about GTA 6 going woke. Like, come on, give me a break. Give me a break. Whiskey, you're saying it's not your type of game, but that trailer looked ridiculous. It did, man. I mean, like I said, I keep seeing these screenshots pop up, and I'm just staring at them like I'm trying to imagine what it's going to look like when I actually play it, because no amount of trailers or screenshots can really do it justice. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where once you have it in your hands, it's in front of you, you're playing it natively on the hardware yourself, you're seeing it for yourself, you have a much greater appreciation for it. And so can't wait. We don't have to wait long, just a couple of months. Boss, don't chew that. I, d- I do wonder, a question that I wanted to ask you guys. Uh, Hold on. But stop it. Stop. You're going to break it. You're bad cat. Bad cat. A question I had for you guys that I forgot to ask is, do we think Death Stranding 2 has the potential to sell better than Death Stranding 1? Um, Mahmood. I don't know if I just destroyed your name. I'm sorry, buddy. You're saying, "Hi, MBG. What game are you playing at the moment?" Well, my copy of Monster Hunter Wilds just came in the other day, so that's probably what I'm going to attempt to play next. I would have been playing like a week ago, but this is the pain of buying a game physically. Apparently, I had to wait over a week for it, but I'm gonna give that a shot next. So I'll be giving you my thoughts on that. You guys do think that Death Stranding 2 is going to sell better than the first one? I hope it does, man, because I think the first one sold, generally speaking, very well. But there was always this kind of question of like, was it really that big of a success? Like, was it as successful as Kojima had hoped it would be, or as Sony had hoped it would be? And oh man, I do think that now that we are just a couple of months away, I think everybody was kind of faintly aware of Death Stranding 2, but after this latest trailer, and now there's going to be a marketing push. At least it seems like there's going to be a marketing push, and this is the beginning of it. I think more and more people are becoming aware of it. I mean, Death Stranding released on PC. It was on PC Game Pass at one point. It's on Xbox now. Um, I think it's just I think it's in a much better position, the sequel that is, to really. You good, bro? To really, I think, kind of surpass what the first game did. And that's why I'm curious to see how it ends up reviewing, because the better a game reviews, I think the usually more often than not, the better it sells. That's not all the time, but usually. Quite a few people would have bought Death Stranding 1 uh, based on Kojima's name. Some of them would have not liked the game and won't return back. So you think it will do good, but it will ultimately do less. That's an interesting assessment. Joshua, yeah, I ended up deciding not to stream yesterday because my throat was too sore, dude. There's no way I was gonna be able to talk for more than probably like 30 to 40 minutes. Jeffrey Luttrell, a member for 26 months. Thank you for that, buddy. At Play Has No Limits as well. Very much appreciate that support. You're saying, MBG, good to catch you live. It's been a while, been dealing with health issues, but starting to get better. Just got a new TV with the PS5 Pro. It's really awesome. What games what game are you going to get after Monster Hunter Wilds? Well, I'm sorry to hear about your health troubles. I hope you are saying you're getting better, so that's good. And got a TV with a PS5 Pro. Nice, man. I hope you're enjoying it. The next game I don't know. It's a good question, man. The whole thing I feel so intimidated. I feel so intimidated by Monster Hunter Wilds, and so I imagine I'm probably, if I get sucked into Monster Hunter Wilds in the way that I got sucked into Monster Hunter World, then I'll probably be playing it for at least like a month and a half, maybe exclusively. It depends. I got to see if it's going to get its hook in me again. But the next game, well, I did play that Kazan, the first Berserker demo. That was pretty fun. I'm a little bit unsure about that one though. Because again, if I'm in the middle of playing Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm not just going to put that down to play Kazan. Um, Apparently, Indiana Jones is going to be releasing on PS5 April 17th. So that's almost a little over a month from now. Maybe I'll give that a shot. A lot of people were saying that's a really good game. So that could be it. I don't know. Atomfall. I've seen people talk about that game. I haven't looked into it. No, I'm not an Assassin's Creed player, dude. I never could get into Assassin's Creed. I don't know why. I just couldn't get into it. Like I don't care about Assassin's Creed Shadows like at all. And not for the reason, I know like um that game has gotten a lot of or it's had a lot of controversy surrounding it, but not for any of those reasons. Like I'm just literally not interested. We must love boss. We love you, boss. We love you, bro. He always leaves with it. Like where he leaves with it and he takes it right over here. He's like, get this out of here. Oh yeah, Lost Soul Side's coming up too. We have Lux, and again, Jeffrey, thank you for that, man. Lux, you're saying hard choice for me, wait for PC release or get it for PS5. I want to play it looking its best, and I don't really want to get the Pro just for this game. Mm. That is a tough one, Lux. I mean, I guess I think you'll know as we get closer to the release, right? At some point I imagine we're going to see some gameplay, like some raw gameplay. That's the big thing we still haven't seen yet. We keep getting these little glimpses of gameplay. I imagine certainly before it comes out on June 26th, we'll see like some type of gameplay demonstration. But I think you'll know whether or not you're going to be able to wait for it, because if it's one of those games that it's just like as it gets closer, you really start to feel the FOMO, but that comes from a good place of like, you know what, I really want to play this. Like I just don't want to wait. I mean, I don't know if you have a base PS5, but everything that we saw is on base PS5. So you wouldn't need to, you would not get the best version at launch if you're not on the Pro, but I still think you're going to get a really really good version. Like certainly a very good version. But if you're able to wait, man, I would imagine at the very least this game's probably going to be a year before it comes to PC. It could be more than that, but I would say probably at least a year or so. Sean Mitchell with a super chat. Thank you for that, Sean. You're saying here, I've noticed after the trailer, a lot more people admitting they never gave Death Stranding 1 a fair go and are eager to give it another chance. No one is doing trailers like Kojima. Absolute cinema. You're right, dude. Yeah, I mean, that trailer, I think, it is absolute cinema, but it's also absolute proof that, bro, look at what a really well done, well edited trailer can do for your game. Because I absolutely have seen that as well. I'll use the word absolute again. I've seen that a lot as well, Sean. I've been seeing people either saying they maybe didn't give the first game a fair shot, or it's inspired them to play the first game, or they're just straight up interested in the sequel because it looks way better than the first one in some ways. And that trailer, I think, sold a lot of people on the game. I think it made people like me and anybody else who was already excited for it just that much more hyped. Taking the hype level from like a 7 to a 10 or something, or an 8 to a 10. But yeah, man, a trailer like that definitely has the ability to just suddenly flip a switch in some people where it's like, you know what, actually, this game wasn't even on my radar, but I think it might be a day one buy now. And that makes me really happy because, yeah, man, I've always been an advocate for Death Stranding 1. I always thought it was a great game. I am extremely confident that Death Stranding 2 is like, the more I think about it, the more I kind of let it marinate, what we saw in that trailer and kind of process it. I think Death Stranding 2 is going to just blow the first game out of the water. And the first game, in my opinion, was really good. Again, I think this is going to be Kojima working on this game, bigger budget, uh, more time, more relaxed, less stressed because it's not coming off of a huge departure and whatnot. So, Sean, thank you. Looks like I lost you guys for a second there. Are we good? It is literally a second. Okay, on my end, it was like gone for at least like 30 seconds or so. We're good though, right? We're good. Everything good? My favorite moment from Death Stranding 1, honestly, I mean, there were a lot of good moments, but my absolute favorite moment, like the one that's like burned into my brain, um, it has to be towards the end. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but towards the end, you go on like one last delivery and the music starts playing. BB's theme starts playing, and I'm like, bro, this is it. That was by far the best moment in that game. I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything. Try to mitigate spoilers. Try not to spoil anything in the chat, but yeah, that moment for me was like that was the peak of the, like, okay, this is what it's all culminated to, you know. Um, I also another really good moment in the game though was also kind of towards the, it was in the third act, your confrontation with Higgs and how crazy that got. that was um that was good too. Also, again, without spoiling too much, when you wake up on the beach, I thought that was a really cool moment. Like, it was just kind of like one of those, like, whoa, you know, kind of being messed with a little bit. Lux, you're saying I have a PS5, but 30 FPS is a killer. Yeah, there's no word yet on whether or not there's going to be a 60 FPS performance mode on the base PS5, but my assumption is there will be. The question is, how much of a hit will the fidelity take, you know, or the overall visual fidelity. I'm confident that even if you play Death Stranding 2 on base PS5 in the performance mode, I'm confident it will still look good, dude. There have been no updates for Wolverine, man. I don't know what's going on with that game. Did I spoil a moment? I'm sorry, Drum Man. I can't help it. I'm not trying to spoil anything necessarily. I just, you know, when somebody asks me my favorite moments, and Lux, you're saying DS1 was 8 months to PC. Speculation, this will be 6. Are you sure? That doesn't sound right to me. Boss, you need to calm down, bro. Calm down. Why are you going so crazy? Why are you going so crazy?
Hey guys, it's Boss here again, Meow. I can't wait for the next stream, Meow, so we can hang out and eat snacks together. It's gonna be a good time. Meow.
You chill. Dude, there's no way. Are you sure it was only 8 months? Hold on. That doesn't sound right. No, I think you are right, actually. So it released November 8th, 2019 on console. The director's cut. Okay, no, it was not 8 months, dude. It was a director's cut for PS5 for September 2021, followed by a release on Windows from March 2022. So that was a long time, bro. That was a long. Boss. And Hellbound 1981 comes in, dropping another 5-bomb on you guys. Gee, I wonder why, boss. Why would Hellbound be dropping 5 more gifts? Could it be for you? Maybe? Yeah? Hellbound, thank you so much, man. I know you like the Crazy Arnold. Boss thanks you, bro. He thanks you. Wait, so that's way more than I remember. I mean, that's what it says. Let me double check. No, hold on. No, something's not right here. That sounded like way too long of a gap. I'm on the Wikipedia page. It says Death Stranding is a 2019 action game developed by Kojima Productions and originally published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Is the first game from director Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions after a split from Konami in 2015. It was first released on PlayStation 4 November 2019, followed by a Windows port in July of 2020. Okay. Then what was it saying 2022? Hold on. This is weird. It says followed by a Windows port in 2020, a director's cut for PS5 in September 2021, followed by releases for Windows in March 2022, iOS, iPad, and macOS January 2024. And then eventually it came to, wow, this is everywhere. Amazon Luna, Xbox Series. So I'm confused. Oh, you know what? Is it, was it the director's cut that came in March 2022? And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in and drops a 10 bomb on you guys following Hellbound's 5. And then Hellbound follows up with another 5. 10 from Corey, 10 from Hellbound. Boss, rejoice. You can leave me alone now. Not me, but you can leave the mic alone. You don't have to keep biting it. It's time to give him some treats.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
I think Boss now understands when I play with him with that shoestring. That's like his workout. And afterwards he immediately expects treats. But Corey, Hellbound, thank you guys so much. We got 2 legends here taking care of the goal themselves. They get us to 25. Let me just update this for you so it can. Really appreciate the support, guys. Absolute legends. And Lux, you're saying, dude, Windows launch was July 14th, 2020. Okay. Well, yeah, that's what, because I'll be honest, I forgot that the director's cut was kind of treated like a completely separate release. So we're looking at, well, you know what? Yeah, dude. Yeah, I forgot about that. This could be like a 6-month game. But here's my thing with that. What's the point? You know what I mean? Like at that, if it's just going to be a 6-month timed exclusive, like why not just launch it day one on PC? You know? I'm not saying 6 months isn't anything, but I don't know. I feel like, is that really going to make anybody like run out and buy a console? Makui Ninja says July 2020 was the Death Stranding port, November 2019 on PlayStation. Well, then when it says here, followed by releases for Windows in March 2022, that surely they're talking about the director's cut then. That's all I can figure. So yeah, that's less than a year, dude. I forgot about that. I didn't realize how soon after that was. Well, we haven't heard anything. I mean, do you so I guess that's the question at this point, right? Like, are we thinking that this is going to be exclusive for a longer period of time, or even for even less time now? Even less time. Depends on how well it's sold on PC. Yeah, that might impact it. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Yeah, now it's all coming back to me. You're saying 505 Games published it on PC. Yeah, and I remember that was weird at the time because Sony, I think, did seem like they were gearing up to get more aggressive in the PC sector. Yeah, surely Sony would want to publish it now on PC, right? So I don't know if that changes the deal. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, either way though, I don't think it would hurt the game if it If it were a 6-month exclusive, I don't think it would really hurt the game. Because, like, if somebody was on PC and they were like, should I just wait for it? It's like, well, shit, yeah, I forgot that Death Stranding came to PC pretty quick. So if you have the patience, maybe you should. Luna, come on. Do I recommend you get a PS5 Pro? I would say it depends on what your expectations are of it. If your expectations, if you're buying a PS5 Pro expecting it to just completely, like, I mean, revolutionize your experience on PlayStation, it's not going to do that. But if you're expecting most AAA games that you're getting now and going forward to run a little bit better, and in some cases look significantly better, depending on which game we're talking about, I'd say, yeah, if it's within your means, if it's not going to break the bank or anything and you can afford it, I would recommend it. But if you're playing on PS5 and you have no issues right now, like you're playing games in performance mode and you're like, this looks fine, this looks great, I'm totally satisfied, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a Pro in that case. So if it's something you've been eyeing and you understand, what it does for games and you can afford it, yeah, I can easily recommend it. It's been pretty good so far. I'm curious to see how Monster Hunter runs on it. Lux, you're saying, don't forget, Death Stranding 1 was a PS4 game. You were talking about the PS5 version, and then the second PC port for that game came later in 2022. Yeah, I think that's what confused me so much is I went to go check the other day, like when I was like, I know I platinumed Death Stranding because I couldn't find it in my library for some reason. I'm like, where did this game go? And so I went to go check my trophy list, and it's like, oh yeah, I platinumed Death Stranding. I think it was January 2020, which makes sense because the game came out in November 2019. So I was playing it all throughout the end of November into December, and it took me up until the beginning of 2020 to finally get that platinum. And I also forgot about the director's cut. So, like, it's kind of funny in a way how, like, Death Stranding has been all over the place. I remember there's always like news about this game where it's like, oh, it's getting a director's cut, and then oh, it's releasing on PC Game Pass, but only on PC, right? And now it's released on Xbox. So I imagine that Death Stranding 2 is a game that is going to find its way everywhere. And so I think if anything, I'm a little bit surprised that Sony maybe isn't taking this opportunity to test day and date with a AAA single player game. Considering this game released on PC, like 7 or 8 months after it launched on PS4, I wonder if it would have been wiser for Sony to just say, let's just do it now. Let's just drop it and just see what happens. And if it doesn't do well, or it seems like it hurts our console sales, then we know not to do it with future games like Intergalactic and Wolverine and whatnot. But they're seemingly not doing that. So I don't know. I guess maybe this will be a similar situation, maybe a timed exclusive for 6 to 9 months. Or if Sony's publishing it, maybe they convince Kojima to do at least 1 year. But yeah, what I said earlier, scratch that. Waiting 2 or 3 years. I don't think you're going to have to wait that long for Death Stranding 2. Dark Cloud, you're saying, MBG, the anticipation is killing me, bro. I want my PS5 Pro to get here now. Friday can't get here any sooner. Yeah, I know that feeling, dude. I think it'll be worth the wait. You're saying there were a lot of people that told you this game would be a day one PC title? Well, that's why I try to tell people, like, you shouldn't presume to know. It's fine to speculate, but to say things definitively, you got to be careful with that because it's like, you don't know what these negotiations and what these contracts look like behind the scenes. Lux, you're saying, wouldn't that be up to Kojima, not Sony? I mean, yeah, he owns I don't know, man, because like I said, I'm not presuming to know, but from the info that we do have that is public and the timing of that info, it seems to me that whatever contract what contractual agreements that were written up for Death Stranding 2, I think were written up originally back in like 2015 and 2016 with like Andrew House and everybody. Because a lot of times the way these deals work, especially with bigger entities like Kojima Productions or bigger figures like Hideo Kojima, is Sony will try to lock down at least 2 games, 2 or 3 games. That's what the agreement will be on. And I think that Death Stranding was a 2 game agreement. And that's why Herman Hulst had to bring Kojima out again and say, we're excited to announce another new partnership with Kojima on Fizzant. And Fizzant might be a 2 or 3 game deal as well. And so I think that whatever the stipulations were, whatever the clauses are, I think these were all things that were locked in back in 2016 that Kojima agreed to. And so I think if it was up to Kojima right now, this game would be fully multi-platform. I think it would be on PC day one. I think it would be on Xbox day one. I think it'd be on, Mac. I think it'd be everywhere. He'd probably have it on iOS if he could. But I think he has to abide by the agreement that he made. But then again, Kojima must not have that much of a problem with it because he signed a newer agreement with Sony for Fizzant. So, yeah, I think Kojima in a way is kind of totally okay with this rollout of like, yeah, we'll just do PlayStation first and then we'll do PC. And then after that, we'll take it everywhere. That's my take on it. But again, I don't have the contracts. I can't read the contracts. I don't know what actually went on behind the scenes. But Dark Cloud, you're saying Tom Warren just announced that Xbox is not launching their handheld this year. It's been delayed? Really? Hmm. Lux, you're saying, so why would he get the full rights after 1 game? The timing of it, I think, is what's most peculiar. If you think about it, the day that Death Stranding launched on Xbox is exactly, I think it was exactly like 5 years after it launched on PS4. So I think what Sony did is they're like 5 year agreement for each game, for both games. So if they signed a 2 game contract, Kojima was probably negotiating, be like, I want to eventually be able to release this everywhere, even on Xbox. And Sony's like, all right, what if? See, here's what's weird about the Death Stranding thing. What's weird about the Death Stranding thing is that Sony seemingly wanted it to be unknown who owns the IP. I don't know if they did that intentionally, but generally speaking, it seems like there was always this kind of question. And so it was assumed that Sony owned the IP because that's usually how Sony did these things. Usually, Sony, when they fund a game, although they've changed in recent years, Sony's gotten much more comfortable allowing developers to keep their IP and studios to own their IP, which is a different approach. But traditionally, talking back in like 2015, 2016, that's the way Sony operated. So it was assumed that Sony owned the IP, but then, yeah, exactly 5 years later, it launches on Xbox, and we find out that Kojima's the owner of the Death Stranding IP. And I think basically there was just a 5 year deal in place where it's like you can't talk about, basically, like we own it for 5 years, then it goes to you. But see, that would change the trajectory of Death Stranding 2, where it's like, yeah, if Kojima owned it now, then he would be able to do what he wanted. But I don't know. If there was already a contract in place, who knows, right? I'm just taking it at face value. They're telling me it's a PS5 exclusive. Okay. Maybe I own the IP. Yeah, I own the Death Stranding IP. But yeah, I would say this game is going to get its time to shine on the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. And then not too long after, it'll probably make its way to PC. I don't know if I feel confident about the Xbox version, though. Like, could the Xbox version drop at the same time as the PC version? Maybe. How interested am I in Heretic? It's a tough one, man. Well, if we're talking about if we're moving on to talking about Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, well, let's go over the new information, shall we? There was a creator to creator video that was published on the official Sony YouTube channel featuring Neil Druckmann, who I'm sure all of you know who Neil is, but also Alex Garland. He's doing 28 Days Later, and or he did 28 Days Later, and he will be. I don't know if he's working on the newest, like 28 Years Later, but he's a pretty well known, well renowned director, and they were talking to each other, and this is where Neil Druckmann gave some new info. Okay, you just learned that. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that was a thing. I've been seeing people talking about it. And it's weird for me because I can still see everyone. But that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize you had that level of customization. Like I just learned recently. For the longest time, I didn't know that was I wonder if maybe it's a new thing. But yeah, I mean, hey man, whatever people got to do to help themselves enjoy the streams more, I'm all for it. 28 Years Later looks really good. Yeah. But yeah, there was this creator to creator video that came out, and these are the things that Neil Druckmann. Well, actually, hold on. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can just pull up the audio so you guys can hear it. It'd be easier. So this is Neil Druckmann and what he had to say about Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet.
Been on this project at Naughty Dog for 4 years now. We just announced it. It's called Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. It's our venture into more sci-fi stuff.
What kind of sci-fi? Like, I mean, obviously I know you, but is it like, you talking deep space? Are you talking about, is it Earthbound?
It's not Earthbound. It takes place 2,000 years in an alternate future that deviates in the late 80s.
Wow.
So I don't know if this was something that was already established, but yeah, he's saying 2,000 years in the future, but things deviated in the late 80s. So I guess that's why we kind of picked up the vibe of like, you know, the retro future, whatever.
And we spent like years just coming up with that timeline, and it's dealing with, it's funny, it's like I joke about this with the team. It's like, oh, we made a game with The Last of Us 2, we made certain creative decisions. I got us a lot of hate. A lot of people love it, but a lot of people hate that game.
Who gives a shit?
Exactly. So the joke is like, you know what, let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion.
Man, I don't I don't know, man. People, I don't know that people feel too great about the way he's yeah, I was talking about that, okay, and I don't know, people were saying that Jason Schreier debunked it, but I don't know, man. That previous leak we heard, I'm like, I don't know, it was very detailed. Like, you like the approach? It's funny because Neil Druckmann, he's the one who brings it up. He says, yeah, we made a game with The Last of Us Part 2. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. And Alex Garland's just like, who gives a shit? And Neil's just like, exactly. It's like, I don't know, man. You should give a shit. You should care. Why would you not care? Like, if, you know, like, why not? I would care. Like, why? I guess I'm just saying, like, why not be more willing to hear some of the criticisms? You know? I'm not saying See, this is, to me, this is the problem with the conversation around The Last of Us Part 2 and why it's just the well is totally, it's just toxic at this point, right? You're saying why should they care? They want to create what they want to create. Stop crying. See, this is what Eric, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no crying. This isn't about crying. I'm not saying you should listen to people crying and screaming and being hateful. I'm not saying that. And I am a believer in, like, you're an artist, create what you want. But I'm just saying, like, what's wrong with taking criticism if it's constructive? Now, granted, he did say people hate the game, and the guy says, who gives a shit? So, yeah, you know how the saying goes, ignore the haters. You know what I mean? Ignore the haters. But I'm just simply trying to point out that I don't think it's a bad thing. If you made something that was extremely polarizing and there's a large group of people that really don't like it, you can't listen to everything they say, just like you can't listen to everything that the people who like it have to say. But it might be worthwhile taking in some of that feedback and listening to a little bit of the criticism, because this is why I can never really enjoy the conversation around The Last of Us Part 2, because it seems like it's a bit too uh it's always one-sided. You know, it's either like, no, it's an absolute masterpiece, you can't criticize anything, or it's a dumpster fire that shouldn't have been made. And I'm like, well, neither of those things are interesting, you know? You love to hear my valid criticism of The Last of Us 2 without mentioning Abby's muscles. Without mentioning Abby's muscles? Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Actually, I do believe I have given valid criticism before, but to be clear though, like, it's the criticism that I speak of is basically just, it's worth listening to other people's opinions that are not coming from disingenuous places where it's like, no, I just want to hate this game. And I want you to admit that you made a bad game. And I get that. Why they're not going to listen to that. But I also don't like the praise that just comes from a place like, no, it's an absolute masterpiece. It doesn't matter what you say. Lux, you're saying, okay, hear me out, LOL. Game Awards in December would be 6 months after Death Stranding 2's launch to shadow drop PC announcement, then maybe Xbox 2 exclusive for Jeff. Oh, that would, what would be funny if it was in the running for Game of the Year and then that's what happened. That would be a hell of a thing. I don't think Sony would let that, bro. No, I think Sony would literally give Kojima more money to not do that. It's an interesting theory, though. Very interesting theory. Kyle, you're saying I would support creative that is open to criticism and growing from it. Same attitude as Jaguar until the buyers don't show up. The buyers then bad. Well, this is why I'm not jumping to conclusions with Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. And I do have more of this Neil Druckmann clip to play for you. It's not that long. It's only like 4 minutes, but I'm not jumping to conclusions with Intergalactic because it's like, I'm curious to see if there are any signs of this game taking some of the feedback that people gave to Naughty Dog. I think, and this is just my theory, I think Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann are going to try very hard to make the primary focus of Intergalactic the gameplay and not necessarily the story or the characters. Like, I think there are going to be characters. Obviously, there is going to be a story. These things will be prominent. But I think what Naughty Dog's going to try to achieve is we want people, when they talk about this game, because, like, that's another thing that bothers me a little bit about The Last of Us Part 2, and I understand why, is too many people, when they talk about The Last of Us Part 2, it gets completely just overtaken by the story beats, the division that people feel over the creative decisions, and I get that. But it always frustrates you. Just like, can we just, like, talk for a moment, though, about, like, how fucking awesome the gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2 is? You know what I mean? Like, regardless of how you feel about the story, that gameplay is amazing. And that's why I was so excited for The Last of Us multiplayer. Whiskey Gaming with a $10 chat says, I disagree when people call it art. It is a product that is made to make money. Art is something that initially is only an emotional investment that others are willing to pay for after the fact. Interesting. Interesting, Whiskey Gaming. Yeah, I mean, it is true that this is a product meant to make money. You know, these like Neil Druckmann and everybody else involved, they would not be able to create their art, quote unquote, if they weren't getting hundreds of millions of dollars to do so from Sony. And yeah, if you're Sony, you're like, listen, my base expectation here is this shit's got to sell. We're giving you this much money, don't screw us over. And that's where I think Neil Druckmann is in a very interesting position. He's in a precarious position because it's like people have this idea of Neil where it's like you just want to piss everybody off, don't you? And it's like, well, even if that is his goal, you know, he's funded by Sony, bro. Like that goal can only go so far. But I don't know, things have gotten kind of crazy the past couple of years. I mean, do you guys see what's going on with that like Snow White movie? Where like Disney's trying to like isolate it or whatever, or like not letting press and everything cover it. You see what happens when people who are making decisions to just kind of try to piss certain groups of people off, like when they're doing that, you see the results. And I'm not saying that's what Naughty Dog is necessarily doing, but there's no denying that like this kind of attitude of like, who gives a shit? Like, I thought you did, like this is your big thing that you made and you got, I don't know. I'm not saying you should let it keep you up at night, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I just, I don't know. It is what it is. You get these creatives, they want to push the envelope or whatever. They want to be on the edge. Lux, you're saying, but most criticism from people is females. Well, see, that's what poisons the well, dude. Exactly. See, that's what makes the conversation turn to shit. And that's what leads to the attitude of these creators being like, who gives a shit? Because, yeah, you get people screaming, not even screaming, screeching about the fact it's a female or the way the female looks. I'm like, yeah, like there's no denying that Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann and everybody else, they're well aware of this stuff. But the problem is when that becomes what people scream about the loudest, and that becomes like the loudest person in the room, that's why you can't hear the valid criticisms. And that's why the people who are maybe trying to hear it can't hear it because they're getting drowned out by just hearing people screeching DEI, woke. And, again, I've been guilty of this a little bit myself, but maybe kind of realizing like, all right, I don't know that this is actually productive or conducive to actually giving the proper type of criticism that I would like, hopefully, the people in charge to receive. But it's a tough thing, man, because I get it. I kind of get it where it's like, it is difficult to hear any type, to focus on the valid criticism when you got people acting like they want you dead. You know what I mean? Like they literally, like they hate you with a passion. And I get it. Like that sucks because it makes everything more difficult. If everybody who didn't like The Last of Us Part 2 was able to kind of come together and be reasonable in their approach to criticizing it, I think that it would get the point across much better. I think Naughty Dog, I think a lot of other creatives would be much more receptive, but it's 2025 and that's not really what people do on the internet, And when I say they should give a shit, I don't mean that means they should pander or anything. I don't think that means that they should turn around and be like, you're totally right. We shouldn't have done any of this. No, but it's just like, I don't know, I just think it's ultimately where I've settled with The Last of Us Part 2 is I've just kind of accepted like, yeah, dude, this is one of those experiences. This is one of those stories where people are either going to walk away from it being like, I loved it, this was amazing, or they're going to walk away from it being like, I really did not like that. Like, I really didn't like it. I didn't like the decisions. I didn't like the story. I didn't like the direction it went in. And I think that is just the nature of the type of story that they chose to tell. And there's no denying that every step of the way when Naughty Dog made The Last of Us Part 2, they knew this. You know what I mean? They knew, like, they absolutely knew, like, this is not going to be like The Last of Us 1. Like, this is going to be a love it, hate it type thing because we are making such intense decisions that are going to, like, there's not going to be anybody in the middle that's just like, eh, whatever. Like, nobody's going to be like that. But it doesn't justify the over the top reactions either that we've seen. You can still put passion into a product, but it should be designed to make money by appealing to the broader market. Hold on, I'm a little behind here. Kyle, you're saying the idea that this product is for money and the director of the product don't care means it's not about money. LOL, it runs deeper than that. Yeah, this is where this gets down to almost like a philosophical divide to a degree. You know what I mean? Where really what we're looking at is the overall balance that is attempted to be achieved. I don't know if we could say it successfully was or not, where it's like, yeah, we have Sony corporate, where for them it is not about the art, straight up. Like, it is just about, like, we are trying to reach mass market. We are trying to make as much revenue and profit as possible, and we are going to use our studios to achieve that. And then, you know, Sony's trying to be understanding of the fact that, well, the best way to achieve that is by letting the most creative individuals do what they do. Be creative, take risks. We'll give you the money to take the chance, and we'll give you the opportunity to take the chance. But that's why they call it a risk. You know, the reality with The Last of Us Part 2 is, and I am not somebody who really likes Neil Druckmann, to be clear. Like, I don't have nearly as much of a problem with him as other people do. But I'm also, he's like, if you were to ask me, like, oh, who's like your favorite video game director? It's like, definitely not Neil Druckmann. But I absolutely appreciate what he did with The Last of Us. There's no doubt about that. It's one of my favorite games ever. The one thing we can say about Neil Druckmann is, no matter which way you slice it, he took a extremely risky path. He made an extremely risky creative decision that if I were Neil Druckmann, the thing that I would be frustrated by is knowing that that's what's going to define him for the rest of his career. And I don't know if he knew that. I'm sure to a degree he did, but it's like, yeah, dude, for the rest of your career in the industry, like, you're going to be remembered as the guy that, you know, had you made the crazy, you're the one who decided to have the crazy twists in The Last of Us Part 2 that nobody saw coming, right? But I don't know. Maybe in the future, people will look back on it and they'll be like, "Yeah, I liked it." I don't know. I don't know. Lux, you're saying Druckmann is aware and he will 100% make a new Uncharted with Drake's daughter in the lead, knowing it will annoy certain people. I mean, to me, that's where things would get pretty stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why people would be upset about that. Because it's like, yeah, if you played Uncharted 4, you know how it ends, and this would be the most natural progression forward. But I think the only time people, in my opinion, the only justifiable way people could, or the only way people could justify their anger if Naughty Dog or Sony decides to make another Uncharted and it stars his daughter, is if Drake is like straight up dead or something. You know what I mean? Like, if they go that far and he's just like not even there in any capacity, like she doesn't even talk to him and he's just out, I think that would be a justifiable reason for people to be like, what the like, he's not even there at all, you know, like, not even to talk to, is like, she doesn't even talk to him or whatever. Unless they like really do a massive time jump and she's like older and he did pass away or something like that. But I don't think people would be on board with that. I don't think there would be a problem saying like Nathan Drake had a daughter, so for Uncharted 5, we're gonna make her the lead now, and Nate will maybe be there as maybe he could play the role of like Sully in this case or something, something along those lines. Figuratively literal, you're saying, I think Neil just means he shouldn't let the audience dictate the product, not making something for fear of the reaction. Moderation is key, though. Yeah, and that's the thing that I think is important to highlight here is what you just said, figuratively literal, I think is absolutely true. Like, you shouldn't let the audience completely mold the product. It depends on what type of product it is. If you're talking about like a live service game where the whole idea is we have to make everybody happy at one time to the best of our ability so that way they don't leave, then it kind of makes sense. Like, yeah, have them kind of come in and help mold the product, right? And you see that these days. It's very, I mean, we see it with like Battlefield, EA's doing that a lot, but that's not uncommon. When you're talking about single player games, especially ones with heavy narratives and big plot lines like this, I do agree that you shouldn't let the audience just straight up tell you what it should be because that's not fun. You know what I mean? Like that does take the creativity out of it, and that likely will remove some of the potential surprise and twist, and it just removes, I think, the essence of what a storyteller is supposed to do. You know what I mean? But that part where you say moderation is key, though, I'm telling you, the biggest problem, it's just my opinion. When I say I'm telling you my opinion, that the biggest problem with The Last of Us Part 2 is that the ambition of what they were trying to achieve, I think was an impossible feat. And I think that the proof of that is not everybody's on board with it. The impossible feat is can we pull this off and not have like a large group of people dislike what we're doing? And the answer is no. All right, Whiskey Gaming, I appreciate you hanging out, man. The answer is no. And I think that they knew that to a degree, but maybe they didn't. I could see a reality where Naughty Dog and Neil and everybody, they thought that, no, we can pull this off. And I think people, they highlight it's the most awarded game ever. Like, it's 10 out of 10's masterpiece. And I get that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the reality outside of gaming journalism. Like the reality is that it's an extremely divisive product. It's an extremely divisive story. It's an extremely divisive sequel. And I just think that ultimately you're left no choice but to ask the question, did you really not know that it was going to be this way? And I think the answer presents itself quite obviously. And that's why I think this little interview with Neil Druckmann and Alex Garland is interesting, because it's like, who gives a shit? Exactly. Because it's like, well, yeah, because you knew from the start what you were trying to do, and you achieved it exactly to a T. The ambition was never to get everybody to like the story and enjoy the story and enjoy the follow-up to the first game. The ambition was to create simply one of the most divisive plot lines ever put out there for a video game. And that, to me, automatically turns me off to it, because it's like, yeah, no, that to me, that's not interesting. That just seems a bit overly dramatic. It seems a bit too abrasive of a goal. You know what I mean? I'm deep in the trauma. Josh, you're saying Black Snape is a good example. Sorry. That just caught me off guard, Josh. I'm like, it took me a second to register what I just read. Black Snape is a good example, but I personally think that WB made that decision because Alan Rickman is Snape, and no matter who might have had his role as the next White Snape, Black Snape, White Snape, would automatically fail. Yeah, that's geez, that's a tough one, dude. I mean, I've been seeing. This is where I can just pull out the popcorn, you know? Like, it's nice to be that on the sidelines sometimes. And when it comes to the whole WB, the upcoming Harry Potter show thing, I have no feelings towards it because I don't care at all, dude. Like, I'm not into Harry Potter that way. And I watched some of the movies, and I do agree, like, Alan Rickman seemed like he did a great job. Um, but I'm just like, you know what, man? I think it's kind of wild, to be honest. Like, just from the outside looking in, I think it's kind of wild. Sorry. I think it's just kind of wild that they're going through with this decision. Like, it's just gonna be Black Snape because why the fuck not? You know, like, I mean, I'm sure that it goes beyond the reasoning goes beyond that, obviously. But I just considering the amount of backlash they're going to, not likely, but they are going to endure for this decision. I just think to myself, like, but why? You know what I mean? It's like, and your reasoning that you're bringing out here, Josh, I think it's plausible. But the one thing I feel like is undeniable is that having somebody do a performance that people will say, but it's not as good as the original. I think that's way less problematic than having people be like, bro, why did you do this? Like, this isn't even, yeah, like, this isn't even accurate to the source material. What are you doing? You know what I mean? And again, I'm speaking as somebody where I don't give a shit either way because I'm just totally out of the loop on this one. How could you, Joel? Sorry. Mrs. MEG just informed me I really need to stop saying Black Snape. But I mean, that's what it is. You know, what else am I supposed to call it? I mean, it's unfortunate in a way because it's like the truth is he could probably have an amazing performance and do an amazing job, but it will be totally hampered by the fact that, like, you're not supposed to be black, bro. Like that, like that's the truth of people's reaction, like how it's going to be. And I don't know. I think that just automatically, again, that brings up a kind of cultural thing where it's like, well, exactly, that's why we should do it. But then other people are like, but why? You know, like, just create a new original character somewhere else. I don't know. Dude, I will say I did see some of the wildest posts on Twitter that day. Make everyone ginger except the Weasleys? Why not? Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, the larger story implications. Oh geez. Oh no. What are we doing? Wes, why you gotta take it that far though, man? Like like Wes is just like, I'm gonna take it all the way. I, why not? Anyway. Anyway, getting back to The Last of Us when talking about Intergalactic. I want to try to zoom out for a minute here. I want to zoom out for a minute cuz I don't really I know I can go on and on and on about The Last of Us Part 2. I could literally have a 24-hour stream talking about The Last of Us Part 2. All right? And Naughty Dog and their decision making and all that. But if we zoom out a little bit here, this is the question that needs to be answered. That for The Last of Us Part 2, I feel as though I do have a definitive answer. When it comes to Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, I do not have a definitive answer. I can only make an assumptive answer. I think it's oxymoron. I can only assume, is what I'm trying to say. So the question is Naughty Dog purposely going to make Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet a divisive game with a divisive story? That's the only question that needs to be answered, because I think that's the only one that's going to matter for this game. I think this game is going to live or die based on the answer to that question. Because with The Last of Us Part 2, the answer to that question is yes, absolutely. The Last of Us Part 2 was meant to be one of the most divisive stories ever created, and Neil Druckmann did not hide that fact when you watch the making of The Last of Us Part 2. That was the biggest, like one of the biggest focal points of that entire creative process of like, even Troy Baker was like, bro, are you sure about this? You know? Like they knew what they were doing. With Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, I think people are making their assumptions, as they should. They're making their assumptions because that's all we can do based off of what we've seen, right? Based off of what came before with The Last of Us Part 2. People are going to look at this and they're going to say, of course. They're dealing with religion now. And yeah, there's a bald female lead. All this, shaved head. She's not like bald, but shaved head. And I guess that's the same thing, but you know what I mean. And yeah, so people are just going to jump to the conclusion that, well, this game is going to be like, we know what Neil's trying to do here again. And I'm not fully sold on that yet. Because I'm like, well, one of the reasons that The Last of Us Part 2 was so unbelievably divisive was because we were working with established characters in an established universe. And if you think about it, that was at the crux of what made it so divisive. Replace Joel with some random dude and the story doesn't even work. The story, at that point, people are just focused on the gameplay. They're not even really talking about the story that much. You know what I mean? Or the characters as much. I feel like Intergalactic, it has the potential to not be a divisive, just over the top, like you either love it or hate it type experience because of this. They have the chance to just tell a story. It'll obviously be like an allegory for, whatever. But yeah, focus on religion. Say what you got to say about religion. My question is, how could that even be divisive at this point, considering like that's been done to death? And this is where I think, I could be wrong here, but I think the truth of what Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet is going to be, I think reveals itself. And I think it's that this game, Naughty Dog wants people to focus mostly on the gameplay. And like 98% of the conversations that occur around this game are going to be about the gameplay. Because when we end up seeing what the story is, it's just going to be another basic, like, here's a commentary on religion and why it's bad. And it's like, gee, wow, so creative. It's not. It's not creative. It's not new. It's not even that interesting. It can be interesting depending on how they handle it, but it's like, it's been done to death. So that tells me that, well, then how is Naughty Dog planning on being in the zeitgeist? How are they planning on being relevant in the larger conversation? Because this is Naughty Dog, and I think they're betting on the gameplay. I think they're going to be like, wait till you see what type of game we cooked up here. That's my guess. That's the best guess I got. Because Neil is a religious person. Well, it could be the other way. Religion is good. It's just usually, it seems like, the way it goes is religion is not good, right? Like it's here are the bad parts of religion and the destruction it causes and all that stuff. And again, it's been here for a while, but it could be the opposite. Like, here's how religion can be good, which would be a little bit surprising, I guess. But yeah, man, it's one of these things where unless and this is another possibility, I've been seeing what people have to say about, well, you know what? Before I keep going, let me play the rest of this clip so you can just hear. I didn't even let the clip finish playing.
So there is just we not only in this alternate history timeline we've made this where the timeline deviates, this new religion becomes pretty prominent, and then we spend years just building out this religion of like from the original prophet all the way how it gets like changed and sometimes bastardized and evolves over all these years, and then like all these people from this
how many you said 2,000 years
2,000
coincidentally 2,000 years
2,000 and this whole religion takes place on this one planet, and then
So it's gonna, like, surely it's gonna be about Christianity then, right? Like 2,000 years, coincidentally. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm picking up. That's my assumption. I think that it's specifically 2,000 years for a reason. Neil Druckmann just can't help himself. All right, hold on. Let me.
then at one point all communication stops from this planet,
nice
and you're playing a bounty hunter that's chasing her bounty, and she crash lands on this planet, and it's and I really wanted to make a game about faith and religion, but also about
this. It sounds
just being
awesome.
lonely. So many of the previous games we've done, there's always like an ally with you, and you're talking. I was like, I really want you to be lost in a place that you're really confused about what happened here. Who are the people here? What was their history? And in order to get off this planet, like, again, no one has been heard from this planet for 600 years. So if you ever have hoped to have a chance to get off, you have to figure out what happened here.
There are so many questions I could ask you, but I'm not going to, because it would put you on the spot, I think. And also,
I'll cut it if I say the wrong thing. It's fine.
well, but also I do think that so as, like, I'm sure you've gathered by now, like a serious fan, I would like to encounter that story knowing as little as possible. And I don't love the process of selling things because I feel one is diminishing it.
I've gotten in trouble actually because of trying to protect the story. We've released a trailer for Last of Us 2 where we faked a shot and we showed Joel somewhere where he would never make it to because of things that happened in that story.
As a deliberate
way to throw off the scent.
Yeah.
And people that didn't like the game accused that of being false advertisement.
Okay, again, who gives a shit? So
Bro, okay, hold on. First off, no, I'm not saying it's literally going to be Christianity. No, guys, I'm saying I think it's going to be like a made up religion, but it's going to be, it's probably not just going to be exclusive Christianity, but it'll probably be, if I have had to assume, a blend of many different religions, But I think that the 2,000 year thing is that I don't think that's coincidental. But you can tell Neil Druckmann is, you want to talk about like trauma, dude, he's got some trauma as well. He's out here talking to Alex Garland, and he's like, bro, that they accused me of false advertising. And Alex Garland's just be like, who gives a shit? Like, we're not here to talk about that. That was messed up though, man. That was messed up. Like, that really bothered the shit out of me. I'm like, bro, there's But yeah, dude, I mean, him showing Joel in that trailer, making you think it's gonna be Joel and Ellie going on another adventure, and I'm like, this is great. Neil's just sitting there like, But movies do that all the time. Do they? I mean, yeah. There's misdirect. I don't know. I just think that was particularly egregious because it's like, oh wait, no, that's literally a completely different character. Like they had Troy Baker say that line, and they had animators animate that whole scene with Joel, literally just to fuck with you in the trailer. And I'm like, that's, if you were like, if Neil was trying to obliterate my hopes and dreams of what this game could have been, of what I thought it was going to be, he definitely succeeded, bro. If Neil was ultimately trying to take a golf club to my dreams of what The Last of Us 2 would be, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I'm calling the police. Yeah, I'm aware of the Silent Hill transmission. Yeah, we'll probably stream that tomorrow. No, I'm not saying Naughty Dog invented it. You have to admit, though, it's pretty uncommon. It's a pretty uncommon tactic, I would say, in gaming. But it worked, dude. It worked on me. He got the reaction he wanted. Neil Druckmann he's malicious. He's a malicious creator. Just kidding. It's a bit too serious, but there's only like one more minute of this interview, so let's just play it here.
So, I would love to go into that story because although yes, these things have to be sold, and the way they are sold, it seems, is by creating trailers that tell the entire story. I as an individual have a choice to not access those things, and so I try not to. And it's one of the benefits of not being on social media. Actually, is that I'm immunized from so much conversation. So I will be able to arrive at this game knowing very little, but what you've described sounds fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
And so smart as well.
Oh, it's so we still have a ways to go, but I'm
Sure.
kind of very excited to see. And it's like, again, these things are so complex and big, and there's so many people involved. It's like I still don't know exactly what this thing is going to look like at the end. It's like I have a theory, I have an idea, but it's still evolving and changing as we're making it.
Cool. Awesome.
Huh. That last thing he said there, that's interesting. I must not have caught that the first time. He's saying that he basically just said like, yeah, we're not really sure how it's going to wrap up. We're not sure. It's evolving. I thought this game was pretty deep in development. I don't know if that signals it's going to come later than we expect, or could it signal that they're, I don't know, I don't know. I don't know. But I thought this would be like a 2026 game. I think maybe 2027. A late 2020. Oh man, that'd be nuts. You're saying you think he just described what development is? Yeah, I mean, I guess it could just mean that maybe it is closer to being done, but there's still, I don't know. I guess it depends on how late you could really make significant changes to a game. That's true. You can develop games with a finished story. Well, I'm still, listen, the fact that it's been revealed, and Sony seemingly doesn't like to reveal games like 4 years in advance anymore, like 5 years in advance, except for like Wolverine. Yeah, no, I don't think that's how it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like a PlayStation 6 game or anything like that. I think it's going to be I still think it's going to be a 2026 title. If it's later than 2026, I would be a little bit surprised just because well, it is possible that maybe Sony and Naughty Dog felt the pressure of like, we got to announce this game now because everybody's been asking, where's Naughty Dog? You know? We have Ty Bud here with a super chat. He says, MBG, you love Metal Gear Solid. I came in on Metal Gear Solid 5. This remake is worth it for me. Will it be worth it for me, or will I be disappointed in missing features? Example, Demon Souls was nice, but not greater than Dark Souls 3. It's a great question, Ty Bud. Well, you're saying you came in on Metal Gear Solid 5, and Metal Gear Solid 5 definitely has, I would say, the best mechanics of any, the best gameplay mechanics, and it's the best feeling Metal Gear Solid by far. I think MGS4 still holds up, but based off of what I've seen of Metal Gear Solid 3, I think that they've taken enough from MGS5 to help kind of modernize MGS3 to where, and I haven't played it myself, so I can't give you a definitive answer, but based off of what I've seen, I'm imagining that playing Metal Gear Solid 3 will feel not exactly the same as MGS5 because you're talking about like a big open world game versus a linear story from a game from 2004 that's being remade. But I think it will feel try to keep your Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3 comparison in mind. I think it will feel better than Demon Souls felt just because with Demon Souls they didn't make any changes to the gameplay at all. They didn't change a single aspect of that gameplay. They only changed art style and art design and graphical fidelity. With MGS3, they have made some pretty key changes. Like the biggest change in MGS3 Delta compared to the original Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater is the over-the-shoulder camera. You know, that wasn't a thing in MGS3 originally. And that was one of the bigger concerns I had about the remake. Like, are they going to do that? Because when you play a game like Metal Gear Solid 5, that's exactly what you have. You have an over-the-shoulder third-person viewpoint when you're trying, and you can still go in the first person. But yeah, everything I've seen, it looks like Konami made just the right amount of changes necessary to modernize the game and make it feel like when you're playing it, like you're playing a modern game, a game that came out in the year 2025. I don't think there's going to be many aspects of the game that are going to feel like, oh, this was obviously made in 2004. Maybe a couple things here and there that they can't help, but that's where I think there's going to be a big difference between, between your comparisons here of like Demon Souls to Dark Souls 3. I don't think when you play MGS3 Delta, you're going to walk away feeling like, man, this feels nothing like MGS5 at all. I don't think that's going to be the case. But that's just my assessment on it. That's my opinion. So if you do feel that way, I'm sorry. Well, when it comes to the conversation about Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet, I don't know that there's much else I can really, I mean, there is obviously more I can say, but I don't know that there's much more I want to say right now just because, Neil Druckmann, I think he just gave us a little bit more detail on how religion is going to play a really important part of this story in this game. And they spent years building out the entire religion, which I actually think is interesting. And to me, that's actually something that I don't see enough people kind of focused on is like, rather than just, treating it like just like some kind of like, yeah, we'll just kind of whatever, we'll just make it a reflection of this one religion. Seems like they're really going to have a lot of, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is whatever this religion is, that's the focal point of Intergalactic The Heretic Prophet. I'm assuming it's going to have some really hopefully nuanced and interesting depth to it that will actually make it feel unique and something that's not just thrown together where it's like, yeah, we just took like, 3 different religions and crammed them into one. They could end up being that, but I'm interested. I'm interested to see more of this game. I just have no idea when they're going to show it. I wasn't even expecting to get this new information from Neil Druckmann, but the gameplay is what we got to see. You know, it's like, okay, we saw the initial reveal trailer. We know about the main character. We know about the planet. We know about the religion. We know about the setup of the story. She's a bounty hunter. Now we got to see the gameplay. So I do wonder if we do end up getting a PlayStation showcase later this year, if Intergalactic is a game that would show up with some gameplay. Guess we'll have to wait and find out. But when it comes to talking about The Last of Us Part 3, Russell, you're saying it seems like an obvious swipe at Christianity, but we could be wrong. I mean, him saying it's going to be specifically set 2,000 years after, you know, like, yeah, like Christianity is about a little over 2,000 years old. Um, I mean, it does kind of read that way. You know what I mean? It does kind of read that way where it's like, I hope that's not what it is, because that's going to be so boring, dude. Like that to me would be just like, really? That's why I don't believe it's going to be that simple, because it's just, that's not interesting. Okay. Hey. See, I knew this was a mistake. Damn cats attacking the curtains because they see birds. All right. The year in the game is more like 3980. Ty Bud, you're saying, MBG, thanks for the feedback, bro. You just sold another copy for PlayStation. Go request your commission. Well, here we go. Sony, where's it at? Adding super because feedback was worth it. Well, thank you for that, Ty Bud. I appreciate it. I'm glad I could help you out there a little bit. I hope you're not disappointed, man. Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta is easily my, well, right now Death Stranding 2 is my most anticipated game, but right after that, Metal Gear, and then hopefully GTA 6 if that's still coming this year. Hold on. Psst. Get out. Come on. Stop it. Sorry. I had to shoo my cats away because they're trying to, we got like a bird feeder outside in there. They're going like a bit too crazy over it. So an AI religion. Oh, actually, that would make sense. That would make sense considering, like, when the little snippet of gameplay we saw was like, you know, it looked like some kind of machine, some kind of robot. All right. Ghost of Yotei is your number one game. I mean, yeah, that's still scheduled for this year, dude. So I try, like, this is why I'm saying pay attention to how close the release date announcement was to the actual release date of Death Stranding 2. Pay attention to that, because I think that's gonna be happening more and more. I think the exact same thing's gonna happen with Ghost of Yotei. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from that game next month or in May, and it's coming out in July or something like that. All right. Now I did just want to let you know, when we talk about The Last of Us Part 3, I wanted to let you guys know that there was, or at least there are, new reports coming out from apparently Daniel RPK, who's an industry insider with a, to be honest, I don't know how good their track record is, but I know that they come up from time to time. And according to Daniel RPK, Naughty Dog is already in advanced production of The Last of Us Part 3 and has cast actors and filmed scenes. Now, previously, I believe the same individual told us that he actually like revealed story details about The Last of Us Part 3 and how it's going to be like Ellie with a new group of survivors or something like that. And so this new report comes off the heels of Neil Druckmann again kind of saying that, well, I don't know. Is this going to be the end of The Last of Us? It could be. This might be it. Don't bet on it. But meanwhile, it seems like if this rumor is to be believed, it turns out like the game's in advanced production, which again, like I actually believe this because, yeah, dude, Sony is out here. Here's a Last of Us controller, Last of Us Part 2 on PC, Last of Us HBO Season 2, more Last of Us, right? And I think that the real big giveaway is Naughty Dog at the end of 2023 saying that they had 2 single player games in development. I think that's the dead giveaway. It's like, yeah, okay, well, Intergalactic and The Last of Us 3. So I guess Neil Druckmann's most recent comments of being like, well, hey, we're just you know, we're just not sure if we're going to be doing The Last of Us 3. It's kind of funny if you think about it. You are talking about the same guy as we just mentioned previously who, put Joel in a trailer completely trying to screw with people. So I wouldn't put it past them to just flat out come out and be like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing it. We're not sure." Meanwhile, it's like it's probably going to be like a PlayStation 6 launch title or something. Uh wasn't there a concept art of an old Ellie? Do you remember that maybe over a year ago or something? Was that debunked as fake? Yeah, actually it wasn't fake. I think it was done I think it was actually like a Naughty Dog artist, if I remember correctly. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I think it was a Naughty Dog artist that just did like a concept of like, here's what Ellie would look like if she was old. But I think they did it for all the characters, like old Abby and old Ellie. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was a direct tease, bro. I don't know. Could we see old Ellie? Would the, would playing as old Ellie be fun? I don't know. It'd be interesting, I guess. Neil does not want the game to leak. Well, it's interesting. We talk about the wider general conversation around the Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. I mean, can you just imagine what the conversation is going to be when The Last of Us Part 3 gets announced? Thank you for that, Hey Tarnished. Appreciate that. Enjoy your day. We have Michael Lynch with the super chat saying, I'm 10 minutes behind. When he says he doesn't know how the end looks, he could mean at the end of the story after 2 or 3 games. That's a good point, Michael. Yeah, I didn't take it that way, but yeah, you are possibly onto something here because when they announced Intergalactic, they did announce it as a new franchise. Like they already have multiple titles planned, which is interesting because they seem to be betting pretty big on it. But actually, yeah, that I think that would make more sense now that you bring it up. Because if they're already planning like a trilogy or something, or even just like 2 games, they probably already had the I think it would be safe to assume that this first game would be left on some type of cliffhanger potentially. Naughty Dog has a bad reputation about leaks. Intergalactic and their next game, whatever it is, will be no different unless they do some drastic security changes. Well, it is kind of interesting to think. Well, hold on. If I'm not mistaken, the disgruntled Naughty Dog employee that basically leaked builds of the game, I'm pretty sure they got like cooked, bro. Like I'm pretty sure Sony's ninjas got to them and probably ruined their life. Like in all seriousness, that whoever was responsible for that, I don't think that I think they had to face some serious consequences behind the scenes. Some legal action was taken and their life, they probably ruined their life doing that. So if you're like at Naughty Dog, you probably know about that. Like you probably know the details of like who it was, how it happened, where they are now, or at least, at the very least, there's probably some kind of gossip about it. There's no way Sony doesn't make an example of that person. So if you're somebody who's thinking about doing it again, you probably are going to think twice, 3 times even. So they sent the samurai after him. Yeah, bro. Go finish your treats. Go ahead. But it still happened. Even the concept art for the factions before that summer event got leaked. They always get everything leaked before the reveal. Did anything about Intergalactic leak? I What leaked for Intergalactic? I don't recall. You're saying that employee who leaked it is an insane Giga Chad for the people? You know, it is really interesting to think that somebody at Naughty Dog, or at least somebody, if not at Naughty Dog, like a playtester, just somebody who had the power to make that leak happen, they were so pissed off at what Neil Druckmann was doing that they went out of their way to do that. That's kind of like, if you think about it, that's kind of wild. Like, that person must have been like, have a real axe to grind with Neil, bro. Because that's kind of not wild. I mean, I'm sure that person knew, like, you're, you're not just going to get a slap on the wrist for this. Damn MRPD. It was crazy. Dude, it was I will say, people wonder why I talk about The Last of Us Part 2 so much, dude. And it's like, because that was crazy. Like, for those who were there as it was like happening and we were all finding out at the same time, like, what the fuck? Like you're saying, like getting the images and seeing like how it was so over the top brutal, like seeing, like a main character that you had this kind of admiration for, and just like, holy shit. It was crazy, man. It was really crazy. And I don't miss it though. I'll be honest, I do not miss that, because that was The Last of Us 2 for me will always go down as the most disappointing game I ever played. I'm not even kidding. I know like some people are like, there's no way you just said that, MEG, but no, it's because my excitement levels for that game and what I thought it was going to be, literally, I mean, higher than GTA 6. My expectations for The Last of Us Part 2 were greater than GTA 6. And there were many aspects of that game that were very good, but just when I remember when I found out, like, oh my God, like, this is what they did. Like, this is the story. This is what they did. And this is the direction they went in. Like, the more I think about it and I kind of bring myself back to that place of like just how hyped I was prior to it. Yeah, I kind of hate Neil. Well, I don't hate him, but I very much dislike Neil Druckmann, dude. And I know it's like, yeah, cry about it. It's like, no, it's not a matter of crying about it. It's just like, it's unfortunate that like what was supposed to be probably one of the greatest games I ever played, like, holy shit, this is like the Last of Us 1 was an absolute masterpiece, one of the greatest games I ever played, bar none, right? This one's going to be even greater. And, I was fully expecting Joel to die, of course. Like, and that's what's crazy, man, is like, I did expect Joel to die. I don't know. I expected it to be in a more, I don't know. And I don't know if using the term dramatic, I don't know if that's the right term, because it was dramatic, but it more like, I don't know. I just thought he would go out in a more, not even heroic way, but just, I don't know, in a way that just felt more in line with something that would represent some of the themes of the first game of like, self-sacrifice or something like that. Yeah, I did. I won't lie. I did want a more heroic death, just because it was like, geez, man. But that's not even what got me, dude. To be honest, what I remember when I was like reading through the leaks and I was like watching some of the clips and shit, what got me, like what made me almost fall out of my fucking chair, you know, what almost fade me out of, or sorry, what almost made me, I'm like trying to read the chat and talk at the same time. What almost made me fall out of my chair, and I remember this, dude. I remember this clear as day, is when I found out, like, oh, you play as that character for the second half of the game. Dude, I literally couldn't believe it. I was like, this isn't real. I remember that, dude. I was like, this is not real. This is like a really, I was like, this is an insanely good hoax. I was in that level of denial like that. There's no way that's what they did. There's just no way. And it turns out like, no, dude. And I remember as the days went on and it became clear, like, oh no, this is real. Like this is happening. Like the leaks are out there. I was like, no fucking way. And so the truth is, like, for, I see the way people talk about Naughty Dog. We're like, Naughty Dog's dead to me. It's like, no, like Naughty Dog is kind of dead to me. Like I cover that. Like I don't have I'm over them is what I'm trying to get at. Like I don't even have, it's not like, oh, I despise Naughty Dog and I hate Neil Druckmann. It's just like, no, dude, they let me down. And for me, I think what really solidified how I'm just kind of over Naughty Dog, and I still cover them. I'm still interested in the sense of like, what's this new game going to be like? But I just can't deny that it's like the passion that I once felt based off of that, what it was like after playing The Last of Us. It like that's just not there anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm not at all interested in what they may do next. Again, I'm out here giving Intergalactic the benefit of the doubt, probably unwisely, but yeah, just show me the game. Let's see what it looks like. But the reality for me is that I think it wasn't even The Last of Us Part 2, because as go after 2019, we went into the PS5 and Naughty Dog remade The Last of Us Part 1. I'm like, yeah, The Last of Us Part 1's amazing. It was when they were like, we're canceling The Last of Us multiplayer. I think for me, that was just kind of the moment I just knew, like, yeah, I don't think I can really. There was a peak, you know what I mean? Like the peak of interest, excitement, and passion that I had for Naughty Dog and what they could do. It was with The Last of Us, dude, and it died with the cancellation of the Last of Us multiplayer, because the one thing that I always held on to with The Last of Us Part 2 is I always told myself, like, you can dislike that story all day, every day, but the gameplay was phenomenal. And I still stand by that. The gameplay of The Last of Us Part 2 is some of the best out there. And that's, I did enjoy that aspect of it. And you could, gameplay is king. Yeah, dude, it is king. And then I was like, okay, bro, they're going to do a Last of Us multiplayer game, and it's going to be all about the gameplay. That's all it's going to be about. So as far as I'm concerned, Naughty Dog's back. And then they're like, no, we're not. And I'm like, oh. So the simplest way I could put it is Naughty Dog has seriously let me down for years now. Pretty much since 2019, 2020. No, since 2020, I felt completely let down by Naughty Dog. And I've always expressed my admiration for their talent and their ability, but I don't know, man. I just can't deny that. I still encounter a lot of people who are like, bro, you're crazy. Like The Last of Us 2 is the best game ever made. It's like, I appreciate the enthusiasm. I really do. And there's always like arguments about like, is it, what game's better? The Last of Us 1, The Last of Us 2. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I'll never be able to overlook the fact that every time I think about Naughty Dog, I'm just going to think about how amazing The Last of Us 1 was and how disappointed I was by the sequel. Beyond that, Intergalactic's up next, dude. Am I going to feel the same way about Intergalactic as I did when I played The Last of Us 1? I'm doubtful. I doubt it. But I'll be here watching, waiting, giving it a chance. And if it can achieve that, then I'd be thrilled. If it doesn't, and it's just ultimately like it's really good, but it's The Last of Us 1, in my opinion, is still Naughty Dog's peak, then it's like, okay, that's fine. I would be fine with that. The real question for me is if there is a Last of Us 3. That's the real question, dude, because I like that is a product. That is a video game and a story that I'm not even going to pretend like, oh, I'm not interested. No, I'm very interested. Not excited, interested. I feel like The Last of Us Part 2 it had an ending that to me was just like, damn, well, that sucks. And that's fine. I look at that and I'm like, it can just end there. That's fine. But if they're like, no, we're doing a third one, I'm like, oh, okay. Interesting. Show me where you're going to go now. Because I won't lie. For me, Illegal Monkey, bro. Oh my God. I mean, I would just laugh at that. I would laugh. I'd be like, this is great. Look at this, guys. Everybody laugh. Look at what they did. MBG, would you honestly be excited for part 3, knowing Abby, etc., and all that? You're going to be thinking about the golf club. The biggest thing that would interest me about The Last of Us Part 3, truly, is I would go into it looking at it as this is either going to be another, like, this is either going to be the second Last of Us game I play that I'm just like, all right, okay. Or it's going to be a game that makes me feel like, holy shit, Naughty Dog did it. Like they like, in my opinion, like they redeem. And I know that this triggers some people. Like I know that this triggers some Naughty Dog. Like I'm not trying to trigger anybody. Like listen, if you love The Last of Us Part 2, that's fine. Like I'm not saying you shouldn't love it, and what I'm saying doesn't apply to you. But for me, it's like they redeem themselves. Like to me, that's what The Last of Us Part 3 would represent. Is like, can Naughty Dog redeem themselves? Because they really got me to a point with the second game where I'm like, I watched that HBO trailer and I'm like trying to feel excited, but and the trailer looked cool. And I'm like, yeah, this is cool. But like when I look at the scenes and it's like, but I know what happens, I'm just like, I don't know that I'm excited at all. Like I think I'm just like, do I want to relive this disappointment? Silent Poet, you're saying I was honestly blown away by the DS2 trailer. Kojima is who Druckmann will never be. Damn, bro. Titus, I know, man. I know. I know that people are stop hanging on to it. Just move on. But it's like, yeah, Silent Poet. I mean, that's the thing. When I watched this Kojima trailer, we were just talking earlier about a potential major plot twist. But the thing is, like, I don't think that Kojima could put in. How do I word this? Any type of twist that Kojima chooses to do, I feel like it will come across as like, hey, you guys didn't see that coming, huh? And everybody's gonna be like, no, we didn't, but pretty clever, like pretty cool. To whereas I feel like that's the polar opposite of what like a twist like The Last of Us 2 did, where it's like, you guys didn't see that one coming, right? And it's just like, no, bro. Like it's just I think Death Stranding 2 is a completely different vibe. And even with like the Metal Gear games, completely different vibe. And I get it, man. I'm not saying the vibe of The Last of Us Part 2. I should have known when Neil said we don't use the word fun when we talk about The Last of Us Part 2. Like, I should have known what was coming. I should have known. But yeah, I did play The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. I did get the platinum for it. And in playing it again, I had a greater appreciation for the gameplay, the level of detail. The story didn't really matter at that point because I already knew everything that happened. So I was able to have a greater focus and appreciation on, again, the sheer, and that's the thing that I will never take away from Naughty Dog, ever. No matter how, and I know, because this is where I think people, they get nuts with their hatred. It's like, I'll never take away the fact that, dude, Naughty Dog is one of the most talented developers in the industry. Doesn't matter like how much they screw up a story or whatever, or whatever creative decisions Neil Druckmann wants to make. Like, they are a talented ass developer that, you know, they're one of a kind in that sense, where they are producing some incredible results, you know, gameplay wise, and just with what they're able to achieve. I'll never take that away from them. And I just wish more people were able to, um, you know, people talk about separating the art from the artist. I wish that in video games, people would be more willing to separate the gameplay from the story. And I know that's hard to do in some cases, especially with games like The Last of Us, but I think it's necessary because it's like, yeah, dude, you got to be able to give the credit where it's due. And, you know, the person who's designing the levels and putting that, you know, the most minute details in there, the person who's designing the animations and doing the facial animation work and all the detail they're putting into the weapons and everything else, man, and just every hit, every shot. They're not the ones who chose to go in this direction with the story. You know what I mean? It's like so it's like I'm not trying to take it out on them or take anything away from them. Kevin Thomas, you're saying it. You're saying I bet it Intergalactic will have better gameplay than Death Stranding. I mean, it's possible, dude. It's it's a tough one because like I feel like you could say a lot of games have better gameplay than Death Stranding, and I think the reason for that is because Death Stranding's gameplay, it's such a weird game, dude. Where it like, I don't think I've ever talked about Death Stranding's gameplay as like, yeah, dude, like it's one of the best playing games. I never talked about it that way because I never. Anytime I say that about a game, I say it in a more universal sense. Like, this is one of the best playing games that like I think anybody who plays it can get a feel for it. Death Stranding is kind of unique in the sense that like I don't feel that way. I think it plays great and I think it feels great to play. But I'm also well aware that as I'm playing it, there are mechanics in this game that are so in depth and tethered to this specific experience that you're either going to feel it or you're not. If anything, and this is the irony, because it almost seems like we're kind of comparing Kojima to Naughty Dog here. If anything, Death Stranding's gameplay was the divisive part of that game. I think everybody, because think about it, everybody was on board with all the trailers from 2016 up till 2019 until that Tokyo Game Show. And he showed the first gameplay. And people were kind of like, people were either like, this is great. But a lot of other people were like, the fuck is that? What are we doing? We're just delivering shit? And it was kind of, you know, again, nowhere near as divisive as something like the storyline and plot decisions in The Last of Us Part 2, but divisive enough to make people kind of be like, bro, this is not what I thought this game was. So there's that kind of irony there of like, yeah, dude, no one had I think, a bad thing to say about the story of Death Stranding. I think the worst thing I've ever heard somebody say about the story of Death Stranding is they just couldn't really follow it because they weren't sure what was happening. Because it does get a bit crazy. That's Kojima for you. But I think the divisive nature of Death Stranding did lie in its gameplay, where it's like, yeah, I think you either get it and you're on board with it, or you don't and you don't like it. And I've encountered many people here on my channel who are like, I was excited to play Death Stranding. I gave it a shot, but I couldn't get into it. I couldn't get a feel for that gameplay. It just wasn't clicking. Shattered Glass 23, you're saying, sounds horrible, but if The Last of Us 3 lets me take out Abby, I would buy it. But Druckmann won't give fans that because he won't give us what we want. I'll tell you right now, and I can say this pretty definitively. If The Last of Us Part 3 is announced, like let's say it's like 2027 and we're hearing rumors about The Last of Us Part 3, and then 2028 rolls around and maybe there's like a reveal event for the PlayStation 6 and they announce The Last of Us Part 3 there. If they make it clear up front that Abby's in this game, I'm good. Like I just talked about how interested I would be in The Last of Us Part 3. If Abby's in that game, I'm good. I'll talk about it on the channel. I will use it for content, to be clear. I will not hide that fact. But in my soul, like on a real level, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I'll approach it from a professional standpoint. But if that's something that they decide to do, if they are doing The Last of Us Part 3, and if that is going to be like if they decide to bring Abby back as a character, there's no fucking way. Like I may actually just straight up rage against this game. Like there's a good chance that is like the Joker moment or whatever for me with Naughty Dog, where it's like, oh, that's it, I'm done. Because I just like there's just no way. Abby destroyed you, man. It's not. Listen, man. It's just because listen, the reality of The Last of Us Part 2. You say here's why Abby destroyed me, right? Abby destroyed me because Neil Druckmann told me, he's like, hey man, I know you like Joel, and I know you like playing as Joel in the first game. But we're gonna bash his skull in. She's the one that's gonna do it. And now you're gonna play the remainder of the game as her. Or like more than half of the game is her. She's the new Joel. And I'm like, no. And so if they actually bring her back again, knowing that, assuming The Last of Us Part 3 is not a prequel and it's actually set in the future, which I think it will be, it's like, yeah, no, I'm good, dude. Like, geez, man. I'm good with that. They should just do a Joel and Tommy prequel. You know what really makes me sad is they were going to do that, I think. I think in the making of Last of Us Part 2, I think they talked about that they were like, bro, well, they didn't say bro, but they were talking about how they were going to do some kind of, I think it was going to be in the vein of like the Uncharted Lost Legacy, where it was going to be something like that, like a expansion or, you know, a mini, a smaller game, more like a AA game. And I think it was supposed to be with Joel and Tommy, or at the very least with Tommy. I think they confirmed that. And for whatever reason, they decided not to do that. And that would have been cool. You can hate Abby all you want, but Joel created his fate when he killed her father. I get that. Like, I get that. But I guess I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. Just give me an epilogue. Here's the epilogue to The Last of Us Part 1. And it's just, yeah, Joel died. Oh, all right. Yeah. Ellie gets real mad. Just tell me what happens. I don't even need to play. I don't need to see it. All right. Joel was a piece of crap if you look at his past. No, he was. And that to me, I would be, if Neil Druckmann wants to get even more crazy with, I guess, how I would be super, super fascinated and interested in the idea of, we're going to give you another Last of Us title with Joel. And everybody's like, yeah, this is amazing. It's a prequel. This is awesome. It's going to be him and his brother. This is the greatest thing ever. And it's basically them trying to survive in the early years, and they are just the worst human beings ever. And like basically it paints Joel in the worst light ever. Now that sounds like a Neil Druckmann game right there. You know what I mean? Like that sounds like the type of twist, but I would be more receptive to that because it's like, yeah, we know that. We didn't see it, but like they talked about that in the games where like they were monsters, bro. Like Joel was a monster and would do anything to survive. And that would be so cool if it's like, because if you think about it, in The Last of Us Part 2, Joel pays for his crimes, so to speak. And then they spend the rest of the game kind of showing how he had a different side to him, right? So they make you kind of feel even worse about it. But there is a whole kind of gap there that we haven't seen. And I guess I'm just wondering what the internet's reaction to that would be. Like, would people be mad? Like, you ruined Joel. Like, you made Joel a monster and you made him a terrible piece of shit. And it's like, no, dude, like, they made that clear. They didn't show it to you, but they made it clear that, like, he was a monster. And, I don't know, dude. That would be so fucking interesting to me, dude. It really would. Not just because it's like Joel's back, but because that would be, he killed a whole militia. That would be super, super dope. And I never say that. We have Sean here, or sorry, Silent Poet. You said Naughty Dog would still be talented without Druckmann. Oh yeah, I mean it's the same thing with like if Kojima. Like the truth is, one day Kojima will not be at Kojima Productions. It's just the truth because I mean even he talks about it. His mortality. He's getting older, and the name will live on. But yeah, one day in the distant future, like there's gonna be somebody else directing a Kojima Productions game. And I think people are still going to go into it being like, this is going to be an amazing game. I think that's absolutely going to be true with Naughty. We've already seen that with Naughty Dog. Neil Druckmann is not Naughty Dog. He's been there for a long time, but there have been other people that came before him that, made that studio what it is. Again, how many people do we kill in other games? But we don't think about it, John. We don't think about it. Sean, you're saying Joel went crazy dark after Sarah's death. I would love to see how dark he got that made Tommy leave. That would be Naughty Dog's best next move, I'd say. Yeah, see, that exactly. That's what makes it so interesting, is he got so bad that even Tommy was like, I'm out. You're fucking nuts. Like Joel was crossing lines that Tommy couldn't even deal with. And that's that would be very interesting. I'd be totally open to that. The first Kojima Productions game without Kojima will make or break that studio. Yeah, the studio maybe goes down with him. I don't know. Kevin Thomas, you're saying, I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan like you. Death Stranding gameplay was so boring, story-wise, convoluted. I mean, I get that. Like, see, that's the thing is, like, I'm not going to say you're wrong because that's the type of game I think Death Stranding is. I think Death Stranding is the type of game that one person can play it and be like, this is boring and I don't know what the hell's going on. And I think to another person, they're like, this is awesome and really unique and feels different from anything I played. And, the story's nuts in like the best way possible. I will say Death Stranding was a bit convoluted. Like the reason why I can say that confidently is because if you asked me about like what that game was about, I feel like I can just loosely tell you it was about reconnecting, like I know they don't call it the United States, but there's a different name they use for it. But you got to connect everybody together. You got to reestablish the connections and whatnot and prevent the extinction event and stuff like that. But it's like, but outside of that, I'm a little bit like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy shit going on in that game. Come on. You think so, Bucks? All right, let's see here. The United Cities, is that what they called it? MBG, I just found out Microsoft and EA have discussed buying some of Ubisoft's IPs. Do you think Sony will chime in and try to make a purchase, say like Assassin's Creed or Prince of Persia? Where'd you hear this from? Is this hold on, let me go see if there's any truth to this. I'm not seeing anything here. Did this like news just break or something? Oh, here we go. Ubisoft shareholder plots protest outside Paris HQ, accuses company of failing to reveal discussions with Microsoft, EA, and others allegedly interested in acquiring IPs. This is coming from IGN. Says a minority shareholder in Ubisoft is attempting to organize a protest outside of the company's Paris headquarters, accusing it of failing to disclose alleged discussions with Microsoft, EA, and other publishers reportedly interested in acquiring its franchises. In a statement seen by IGN, the CEO of AJ Investments claimed Ubisoft is horribly mismanaged by current management and wants a clear roadmap for recovery from the senior team to address the declining shareholder value, lackluster operational execution, and failure to adapt effectively to market trends. He alleged that Ubisoft has not been transparent about its decision making, accusing the firm of hiding information, including an Assassin's Creed Mirage DLC partnership with the Saudi investment firm Savvy Group. The shareholder also pointed to a restricted article published by business investment platform Merger Market that alleged discussions between Microsoft, EA, and others that are interested in acquiring IPs from Ubisoft. Management did not inform the public about these steps either. Ubisoft has issued the following statement. As we mentioned during our Q3 sales, the review of various transformational, strategic, and capitalistic options is ongoing. The board has established an ad hoc independent committee, I don't know if I said that correctly, to oversee this formal and competitive process so as to extract the best value from Ubisoft's assets and franchises for all stakeholders. Ubisoft will inform the market in accordance with applicable regulations if and once a transaction materializes. So I mean, well, this is interesting. It sounds like they did inform the shareholders that they were thinking about doing this. Unless I'm reading this wrong. Sean with another super chat. Thank you, buddy. You're saying The Last of Us 3 trailer starts with a man putting a bandana around their head. They resemble Snake. Us Sony fans go nuts. And Naughty Dog are back, bro. Hold on now. Hold on, Sean. The implications here. You're saying it's Joel with a bandana. It's young Joel playing Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid 6. Developed by Naughty Dog. Published by Sony with Konami and Kojima's blessing. Hell, why not? His main weapon is a golf club. Sean, I'm going to get that image out of my head now, bro. The idea of Sony buying any of Ubisoft's IPs, dude, I'm trying to think of like an IP that Sony would actually feel they could leverage and use, because they're not talking about buying the studios. Talking about buying the intellectual property. I guess you could buy a studio with it as well. Golf gun. I mean, there's the Tom Clancy games, of course. Splinter Cell. The Division. Obviously, you have to, I don't think they would sell Assassin's Creed. I think we have to think of things that are. I think we have to think of IP that Ubisoft tried to do something with, but it didn't work. That would be the IP they would probably be more willing to sell off. I don't know that they would sell The Division. I don't think that they would sell anything. Like, I don't think it would be. Yeah, I don't think they would sell Rainbow Six. I think that's one of their most valuable IPs. I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Like something like Splinter Cell would be interesting because it's like Ubisoft seemingly can't do shit with Splinter Cell anymore, but it's a known IP. People want to see it come back. Could you give something like Splinter Cell to Sony Bend? Prince of Persia, it's another interesting one. I don't know. I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure how interested Sony would be in any of Ubisoft's IP. Watch Dogs. I mean, we do have to keep in mind that all of this IP we're mentioning, it has baggage associated with it, you know? They mentioned Microsoft, they mentioned EA, but I don't know if Sony even cares. Because I don't think Sony has an IP problem. I think Sony has more than enough valuable IP. In fact, it seems like people are begging Sony to leverage some of their established IP, and they're just like, maybe, maybe not. And I feel like it would be a weird look if Sony was just like, yeah, we'll take that. Far Cry, that's another one, dude. This is what I'm trying to think of, like, what would Ubisoft really be willing to sell? Oh shit. Luck says Driver. Oh my god, I forgot about that. Bro, I remember playing Driver 3. And there was something so strange about that game. Driver 3 was a strange game, man. I remember it had this really interesting vibe. Like I felt the vibe of the game, but the world seemed so uncanny and like dead and strange. It was weird, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed playing it. Sell Driver to Sony. Who? Okay, well, let's imagine Ubisoft. What would that even be worth? Would that even be worth selling? Yeah, Driver 3 was a bit of a mess. No, I'm actually not going to be playing Assassin's Creed. I'm not. I've never been into Assassin's Creed. I don't know why. I find it strange. I just couldn't get into it. Just not doesn't appeal to me for some reason. Come to think of it, I think the only Ubisoft. Well, I used to love Rainbow Six. I loved Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. And I remember I tried to play Rainbow Six Siege and couldn't get into it. I'm like, I wanted Rainbow Six Vegas 3. And instead, we didn't, I know people love Siege. It became very successful. But once I became aware that, like, this is what Rainbow Six is now, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm done with Rainbow Six. The Division 2. I played the Division 2. I enjoyed the Division 2. I got the platinum for Division 2. So I really enjoyed that. And then I think Far Cry. I think those are really the only 3 Ubisoft properties that I have any extensive playtime with. You have a copy of Driver 1 for PS1? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, Ghost Recon as well. Yeah, actually, I remember I tried playing Ghost Recon Wildlands. I got like halfway through it and I'm like, I don't know what it was about that game. I thought that was one of those weird games. I was like, I feel like I should like this a lot more. There's always something with Ubisoft's games, dude. Siege went into a strange direction. Battlefield is that's an EA property. Far Cry was good, but they killed it. I mean, Ubisoft seems to really not know how to properly manage their IP. Assassin's Creed series has 155 million sales, not bad. Assassin's Creed seems to be one of the only things that Ubisoft has mostly gotten right, and they've gotten very close to really screwing it up along the way. But generally speaking, I think that they've handled it pretty well. After Grawl, it went downhill. Yeah, I saw that. What was it? There was a Ghost Recon Wildlands, or not Wildlands. Breakpoint, I think was the last one. Didn't play that one. Heard it was pretty good though. Heard it was bad at first and then got better. Did I see the Battlefield leaks? I did. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I've seen a lot of different footage leaking, and I'm like, it looks like they got the memo. I think the memo is just go back to Battlefield 3. Don't remake it necessarily, but just go back to the fundamentals of what Battlefield 3 was, what made it great, and then just do it today, but bigger, right, and better. And that's the feel I get from the Battlefield leaks. And I was a longtime Battlefield fan. I basically stopped after I stopped. I even played up to Battlefield Hard. I liked Hardline, by the way. Battlefield Hardline was actually pretty good. Shout out to that game. I think people were shitting all over Battlefield Hardline because they're like, this ain't a Battlefield game. I'm like, this is pretty fun. Battlefield 5, I think, is actually where they lost me, dude. I remember Battlefield 1 was incredible. Bad Company 2, obviously my favorite, but Battlefield 3 and 4, even Battlefield 1943. I did play Bad Company 1. So I've been playing Battlefield for a long time, but I remember at one point I did try the newest one, Battlefield 19 or 2042. Is that what it was? And it's like, this is something about this is just, it's like, what did they do? Something just wasn't right. Something just wasn't quite right. But yeah, man, what I've been seeing, I think who's the Respawn? Respawn, I think, is the one developing Battlefield now. I think they get it. I think they understood the assignment, and so they're having a lot of people play it right now. They're taking in all the feedback. The destruction, from what I can tell, it's unpolished, but the destruction I saw, I'm like, okay, this could be very good, but still seems like it's a little ways out from releasing. Did you guys see this? I have this up. Skate PS5 isn't even out yet, but it already has microtransactions. The next Skate game from EA, announced eons ago and developed alongside its community, has added microtransactions to its closed alpha playtest. The word comes courtesy of Insider Gaming, who were forwarded a message from developer Full Circle by a participating player. The game, which is planned to eventually launch in a free-to-play state, will feature an in-game currency known as San Van Bucks. These will enable you to purchase, how do they call it, bucks? Oh my God. These will enable you to purchase a variety of cosmetic goods, including outfits, skateboards, and so on. Full Circle, the developer, said it needed to add the feature to the closed alpha in order to ensure players have a positive experience when purchasing items in the final release. It added that any feedback from participants will be greatly appreciated. Those who spend money in the playtest will have their purchases reset upon release, but any San Van bucks they own will be returned to their accounts. We're not entirely sure why EA isn't just giving participants a small denomination of free currency to use in the playtest, but there we go. It says, to be fair, the game was always announced as to be a free-to-play affair, and so it needs to fund its development somehow. Microtransactions were inevitable. As long as they're largely optional, like in Fortnite, we're not inherently against the inclusion. So, yeah, this is a little strange. I mean, like, I can see both sides of it. It's strange because it's like, really? Microtransactions in an alpha? But at the same time, we're like, listen, we got to make some money, and we're going to... I think what they're trying to do, and I understand, they're trying to figure out, like, what type of cosmetics are people going to buy in this game? Like, we need to know what's going to sell. And I kind of understand why they're doing it. Lux, you're saying, EA seeing people react positively to leaks. They'll rush it now. Probably take away destruction to get it out sooner and hope people don't notice. Dude, I hope EA doesn't. Listen, EA right now has the potential to bring back Battlefield and Skate in ways that I can't speak for everybody else. I can only speak for me. They can bring back these two franchises in ways that I will be totally on board with. No pun intended. I'm excited about Skate 4, and I'm very excited about Battlefield. This whole thing with the microtransactions for Skate 4, I mean, I I don't have a problem with it because it's like you don't have to buy anything. They're just saying we're putting these in here. And what they're really going to try to figure out is they before they put the game out there to the wider public, they just want to get an idea of like these are some of the ideas we have for microtransactions. They're going to be paying close attention. Which ones are selling? Which ones are people completely ignoring? So that way, when they put the final game out, they'll have hopefully a generally appealing selection of cosmetic microtransactions that people will buy. So that way they can make money on the game. And the fact that if you buy anything when the final game comes out, they're going to give you I almost said V-Bucks. They're going to give you the San Van bucks back. It's like, okay, I get it. Like, as long as you know that what you're buying, you're not keeping for the main game, as long as you're okay with that, then people are free to do what they want with their money. But I want this game to succeed. I do. I don't want to see. I know that a lot of people checked out immediately when they heard that Skate 4 is going to be free to play, but I love the idea of what they're doing here. Mainly because when I played the Skate games, mostly Skate 3, that's how I played it. I played multiplayer and I loved it. I loved getting in that virtual space with some friends and skating, dude, and doing challenges. Like, and they're like, we're gonna build the whole game off that. I'm like, please sign. Like, I'm not interested in playing the alpha. I'm not interested in playing these early versions. I just when it drops, I'll be there day one. And I don't know if I'll. I mean, if I like the game enough, I'll gladly spend a little bit of money on it to support the devs and support the game. But yeah, man, I want Skate 4 to be good because for as excited as I am, well, some of my excitement has been dampered for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. But as much as I am looking forward to playing that and playing that type of game, I liked Skate better ultimately. Like when it's all said and done, the mechanics of Skate I think were so much better than Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games. They're just very different games. When I played Skate, I felt like I'm actually trying to skate. You know what I mean? I feel like in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, it's an arcade game. You know, it's meant to be over the top. Not to say that Skate isn't a bit over the top, but I think you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, man, it'll be really interesting to see how these two games pan out. Guys, I see we are approaching the 3-hour mark. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hang out here for like 7 more minutes, 8 more minutes or so. So we'll do like a last call if you want to drop any more super chats, any more memberships. We're currently sitting at 25. If you want to add to that, feel free. If you want to become a channel member, we're gonna go to the members lounge after this. All right. So if you are a channel member, you'll be able to join us in there. Could be even better with DualSense features. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I ever played Skate with a DualSense, so I hope they get the feel of it right because Skate 3 felt amazing. Skate 3 felt like the best. I mean, like the mechanics of like how you flip the board and how you do the tricks and how you control the skater, it felt perfect. So as long as they don't mess that, and that's the most important thing. If they don't mess that up, I think they'll be fine. All right. You're convinced right now is the time for a new Medal of Honor? And John B comes in. John B drops a membership gift for you guys. Spice King was gifted. Thank you for that, John. Yeah, keep in mind, you can always drop a single member gift as well. We always get people in here dropping 5 bombs, 10 bombs, 20 bombs, the occasional 50, which obviously we greatly appreciate, but you can always drop a single member gift. That helps too. Thank you for that, John B. And Lux, you're saying Skate will bail hard. No, don't say that. We have to believe. We have to believe Skate can be great. Make Skate great again. Maybe don't make that your tagline, but you know, I think EA can do it, man. The reason why I think Skate 4, this new version of Skate, the reason why I think it can succeed is because it seems like they're taking their good old time with it. Like, they're really trying to make sure they get it right. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I really do. Like, that's what we need developers to do, especially if they're trying to bring back stuff. Got to get it right. Gaming Survivor is saying you need to re-up your membership. These gifts are not hitting me. Guys, we need to get Gaming Survivor a gift, bro. We can't leave Gaming Survivor hanging like this. He's got to be in the members lounge. Bad Company 3, we can only wish. I'm okay with them not going back to Bad Company if the new like reboot of Battlefield gets back to just the basics of what Battlefield should be and they get it right. I will be okay with that. You know, I can accept there not being a Battlefield Bad Company 3. The reason why it was annoying was because you get games like, especially like the last Battlefield, and it's just like, bro, can we, like, Bad Company 3 would just be better than this in every single way. You know, I'm not even sure who asked for this, but all right, let me go see. What I might be missing here. Okay. And John B comes in. He drops another member gift. Let's get some W's in the chat for John B. He's dropping some singles out here. Unfortunately, Gaming Survivor, you missed that one too, bro. You missed that one too, but he tried. John tried. And I do appreciate that, John. Thank you. I'll add that to the counter as well. All right, where are we at time-wise? We still got like 4 minutes. We get 3 more memberships in 4 minutes. We do it and we'll head out of here. Head over to the members lounge, hang out for a bit. Those WD-40 bottles ain't cheap. You got to get a wisdom tooth out again. Oh, that sucks. Well, good luck with that, Ice Cream Gaming. Yeah, that's terrible. What is up with wisdom teeth? You know? Like, I don't understand. What went wrong? Oh, and by the way, if you haven't, please take a moment and hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. I didn't mention it, I think, the entire stream, but probably should have. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, hold on. I think I got another super chat. And John B comes in. John B's trying to do it for you guys. He's doing it. He's trying to do some lifting for you guys. He drops 5 more memberships. So that's 7 from John B. And then Wabu Dude comes in trying to drop a membership. I see New Soul 9 got one. John B and Wabu Dude, well, they got us over 30. They brought us up to 33. Thank you guys so much for that. Gaming Survivor, damn, bro. Yeah, Gaming Survivor still, he missed it. It's always fun. Not for the person who doesn't have a membership. It's actually probably anxiety-inducing. Not anxiety-inducing, but, you know. It's just fun when, we're somebody specifically trying to get a membership, and every time you see anybody drop, it's like, oh, is this it? Is this it? But I'm sure Gaming Survivor's thankful that you tried. And, yeah, thank you guys for that. Really appreciate the support. We are now sitting at 33 members. So, yeah, the more memberships that you gift out, the more people have access to the members lounge and upcoming members content. And Lux, you're saying, nah, FEA, they'll make a crappy skate FIFA/Madden crap. I mean, would that be the worst thing in the world, though? See, the thing that's interesting about skate compared to what you just said about like FIFA and Madden is this is going to be a free-to-play game. It's not going to be like an annualized game. That's interesting to me because they're just going to purely rely on. I mean, surely they're probably going to end up having a like battle skate passes is what they'll call them. I think you can't really call them battle passes because you're not battling. Skate passes. I can't watch when you go to the members only MBG. No, when we go to the members lounge, it's for members only. That's why I try to encourage anybody, like, you know, if you get gifted a membership and you're able to partake in the members content, if you end up enjoying it, you know, certainly consider renewing your membership and paying for it on your own. helps take the pressure off of some people who are gifting and help support me directly. But I know not everybody can afford that. But we have some very generous people here that, they not only support the community by dropping member gifts and getting more people in, but also, they support me directly as well. Anybody who drops memberships, super chats, direct donations, I'm not doing sponsorships here. I try to, well, luckily I haven't had to do any sponsorships, which I think is ideal. I think that's a better way to do it, just for me personally. But I'm very grateful for that. So thank you to everybody who supports the content, really. That'd be so weird if they called it the Battle Pass. The Skate Battle Pass. Filled with surprise mechanics. Ah, yes. Dude, oh my God. You know what? They could do that. No, they can't do that. They can't be that dumb. I would rather have a quote unquote battle pass in a free to play skate game than being like, we're just going to do loot boxes again. Skate boxes. That would be so annoying. That was so weird, isn't it? Like, it was so weird that there was just this period of time where there was this massive trend of just loot boxes everywhere. Like, everybody and their mother was trying to cram loot boxes into their games. And EA, I think, was like the one who really. It seemed like it took Star Wars Battlefront 2 and EA just crossing the line, bro. Just being totally egregious with the way that they handled it. I think that's what caused the downfall of loot boxes, which isn't surprising in retrospect. Lux, you're saying it'll be the most bare bones game unless you pay micros? It depends. Like, so I would be fine with that, right? Like, if the microtransactions basically are like, listen, if you don't engage with the microtransactions, you're not going to be able to really customize your skater very much. You're just going to be wearing a basic shirt, basic pants, basic shoes, basic board. I mean, when I used to skateboard, I would buy the blank skate decks all the time, And if that's all I could do, I would be okay with that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if the game's good, I wouldn't mind supporting them with a couple micros here and there if there's something that I find appealing. If it's good. If it's fair and it's good. But, Shems, you're saying you miss loot boxes, bro? But on the other side of that, I'm actually completely okay. It's like, okay, if I can't customize my guy and whatever, that's fine. Is the gameplay good? Is the game, because that's all that's going to matter to me, dude. Because if the skate gameplay doesn't feel good, that game has no hope. That to me is what would cause that game to flop. Madden packs evolved into loot boxes. I think the last time I played Madden was back in like 2012, dude. 2012 or 2013, and I remember I was trying to play that, what's that game mode called? Where you build your own team with the card packs. And I knew that was like some dangerous shit, dude. I think that's why I stopped, because I'm like, this is a slippery slope. Riding around on a cardboard skateboard. Wolverine costume MBG buys it instantly. That would be, I mean, yeah, they're probably hoping they can do like, shit, man, they're probably hoping they can do all these different kinds of, I've reached that point of the stream where I can't think of words. Ultimate Team, that's what I was thinking of. Collaborations. So I don't know why I can't. I've reached that point. But yeah, a game like Skate 4, they're probably going to try to reach out to everybody. Lux says, "How are you falling for EA's PR, dude? It's I can't help it. Listen. Skate is one of those games where it's like, I'm not unaware. I'm not going to be in denial. I'm not going to be delusional about the fact that this game could be horrible and it could just be a train wreck. I'm aware that that's what it could be. Until I install the game on my PS5 Pro, boot it up, and after my first or second or third play session, I'm like, this is terrible. Until that happens, I'm going to hold out hope and believe that this has a chance. It has a chance. It has to have a chance. I need to believe it, because the alternative is, well, man, you haven't played Skate in years, and they tried and they failed, and you're still not going to be playing Skate, so nothing's changed. You know, that's the alternative. But it is EA. It is EA, man, and I'm cautiously optimistic, I think, is the best way. With Skate, I would say I'm a little bit more than cautiously optimistic. I'm a little bit more. With Battlefield, I'm more cautiously optimistic because, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous that they're going to mess that up at the last minute. Did you all know they added a Cash App to payment method? Oh, all right. So we're over the 3-hour mark. This will be a good place to wrap up today's stream. You wish they would make another SSX? Oh yeah, I played that a couple times when I was younger, I think on PS2. Gran Turismo tried the money grab too, but had to pivot after launch because fans weren't having it. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up today's stream. We talked about a bunch of different things, talked about a lot of different games. I really enjoyed it. Matthew Holt says, no. Unknown says reps before you go. I can only do reps if we hit 50 members, man. We're at 33, which I'm very grateful for. But if you want me to start doing reps, I'm like sweating over here. I got to take this hoodie off, dude. I think it warmed up outside quite a bit. But I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with me and chilling with me. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed these conversations. I feel like my throat's starting to get better. I was actually expecting it to feel worse after talking for so long, but it seems like it's getting a little bit better. Maybe it was like a 24-hour thing or something. Gaming Survivor says another day of PlayStation winning. Yes. That's what I'll just title my streams. PlayStation wins number whatever. We win again, bro. We won. Console wars, bro. Do a kickflip. I wonder if I could still do a kickflip. I probably hurt myself real bad. I could ollie, I could pop shove it. A kickflip, I think I would end up hurting myself. It's been a long time since I've skated. I used to be able to do like 3 flips and stuff, though. Now I just use tech decks. No joke, I have a tech deck. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Now, I'm not saying I just sit here playing with tech decks. I'm just saying I have one, and occasionally I just come across it, and I'll just do a couple tricks. And I'm like, this is the best I could do. This is all I could do now. A tray flip. I used to be able to do a double kick flip. I remember my friend, he was obsessed with mastering a triple kickflip, dude. On flat land. He was obsessed with it, and he figured it out. He did. He figured out how to master the triple kickflip, and I remember he was showing me, and I'm like, geez, dude, like, that's crazy. I could only do a double. I could never do the triple kickflip. That was way too hard. A triple kick, I mean, it's a kickflip 3 times in one shot, bro. Like, how? I remember a hard flip was another one that was really difficult that my friend mastered. I couldn't figure that one out. You broke your arm bad when trying to kickflip. Dude, the amount of stories I've heard from people who like just trying to do, I would say, pretty simple tricks on the ground on skateboards, and they just break bones, dude. Yeah, skateboarding is not easy. It's not. Anyway, we'll save it for the members lounge. Guys, thank you so much. I want to give a big shout out to anybody who dropped support today. Again, we're sitting at 33 members, got a lot of super chats. We got some direct donations. Thank you guys so much. You are truly the sponsors of the channel. You guys make it possible for me to continue to do this and to keep the content flowing on the channel. And it really does mean a lot to me. So thank you so much. Also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. If you guys see him in the comments, give him some thanks, show him some love. And yeah, as you're heading out, please hit that like button. To all of my channel members, a members lounge is going up right after this. So I'll see you over there. And to everybody else, consider becoming a member. But if you're not up to it, I will catch you in the next stream. So that does it. Until next time, guys, take care.